Hello out there. It's Mr. Snidbits here, and we also got with us today Mr. Monkish Wick.
How's it going, everyone?
And we're here to do some reviews for the movies. And we've kind of changed things up here a little bit. We got a new look, which I think is going to be fun. I think it's going to be fantastic, actually. And we've done some movie watching this week. And hello, Alt. Good to see you back. Glad to have everybody. Always fun to do the movie review Sundays. So, how you doing, Mr. Monkerswick? How you doing this week?
Can't really complain. Got a couple of movies to talk about. Some more hatred for film to spill out there. So, I'm excited.
Hey, Just Jesse's here. Hello, Just Jesse. Hello, hello. Welcome all. Welcome all. More hatred for movies. Our resident cynic here, Mr. Monkishwick. So it's gonna be fun, and yeah. So let's see what movies did we do this week? Do you remember, Mr. Monkishwick?
Well, we did the Fly remake. I can't remember the year that one came out. Maybe it's not worth remembering.
1986, sir. 1986.
Sure. The first Tremors, and then the 2019 film Crawl.
Right. Yeah. So The Fly, Crawl, and Tremors. Which weirdly, if you look at their posters, the words are actually listed in like where the creatures are. The Fly's up high, Crawl's kind of in the middle, and Tremors is real low on the poster. I was just looking at that. And if you're watching, we also have oh, she can't stay for the whole stream. Hey, Smash Bros with a party of 7. Wow, hello, thank you. Raid. Welcome. Yes, we can totally do Tremors first. There's nothing wrong with that in this situation. So, hello, Angel. Hello. And Lady Crosshard, Commander Crosshard, reporting for duty. Hello. Thank you for the compliments on the new setup. Let's move back over to the Just Talking, just so everybody can see. We got all the giant chat there. I figured you guys should be right up front with the chat. I think that's kind of fun. So, and hello everybody, spamming the chat with all those emotes. Love it. This is awesome. Love it. How you feeling, Mr. Monkishwick? Even though the movies were not your favorite this week, you still feeling good?
I mean, I still loved 2 of the 3 films on this list. So,
Okay.
I'm still decent on it.
That's good.
I wish people would start making better films and I could enjoy them more.
the
Their job to appease me, right?
the cynic strikes again. As Mr. Fry Guy would have said, he would have said, "Not in this economy." But that's just Mr. Fry Guy. So let's see. We're gonna get into Tremors first, which is fine. Oh, here we go. Angel's got a movie for us. There was a child born. Okay, well, write your movie. We're gonna do a Tremors review here. We have some other things as well. We've kind of taking a different approach than we have before. We're gonna try to get some information out to you guys about movies coming up too, and we'll have a little segment on that here in a little while, which could be fun. It could be also informative, which could be good. Let's see. So Tremors. This is a movie I haven't seen since I was, let's see, it came out in 1990. So that means I was, how old was I? 13? So I barely remember it. Yeah, thank you for the shout out, Jesse. That was awesome. Thank you for shouting out Smash Brothers for the raid. That's very, very cool. And Angel's still writing his movie, just so you know. But yeah, I haven't seen this since I was 13. So when I watched it this week, man, it was a total like new movie to me. I hadn't seen it in so long. I forgot literally everything. I had some moments still stuck in my head, with Bert and things like that, but that was it. It was like watching it as a newcomer. And I'll say that movie holds up pretty good. I didn't expect it to, and it did, man. It's still a wild ride from what I remember back in the day.
How could you ever forget the details of a movie that Reba McEntire is in?
No offense to anybody, I'm just not a big Reba McEntire fan.
Okay, well, I quit the show.
I had a feeling you'd say that. I know you love her, but you know, um, get some dinner, sir. Eat some dinner and come on back. We'll be talking about some other great movies. Well, what I think are great
Yeah.
movies, but we'll get down to those brass tacks soon. So as far as Tremors,
Okay.
though,
We're starting out with the best film on the list. So.
what's your initial approach this time around? You watched it again. Now you're an adult. You know, at this point, what do you think?
So this is a film that I've watched several times throughout my life. I adore this film in so many ways. It is it's not aging the best as far as like the way everything looks. But it is still so much fun to just sit down and watch. At this point, I probably watch the movie once every 2 years or so. But
Wow.
there is so much.
That's a lot.
I know. But there's so much charm that has continued to go through it. And all the characters, especially the main two, have so much chemistry in their back and forward with each other. And every time I've watched this film, all I could think was, God, it feels like they've had so much fun making this film. Like almost like everybody knew the film was gonna bomb anyway, so they went, let's just have fun with it.
You know that I always talk about tropes because when tropes are overused, and I know you have a thing about tropes too. When they're overused, man, it drives you nuts, right?
Yep.
But with this movie, the tropes when they picked them, they were like, we'll make sense out of it. You know, we'll make it work, and everything was convenient, obviously, but at the same time, the way the valley was set up and the way the whole system was set up, there were only a few of them. They couldn't get through rock. It was a pretty fun premise, and the fact that you don't know what they are, and even the like go-to scientist, even at one point, she's like, I didn't. Why are you asking me about biology? I'm a geologist. What are you doing? You know. So it gets pretty funny. Okay, so apparently the doctor says that there's a tragic part of Angel's story here. So maybe we should go back and read Angel's story. Here we go. Let's see. Hello. Long ago, in a village in the middle of nowhere, there was a child born. Little did the child's parents know this child had a destiny, for he was to travel the world and to be the greatest of them all. The world's greatest chef.
Are you? Oh, okay.
No, it's Ratatouille. The world's greatest chef. But the child had an accident. Oh, sad already. An unfortunate cellular phone accident. He lost his left hand. How tragic, the doctor says. But this did not stop him. So we'll intermission on that story, and we'll get back to Tremors. So I never thought that I would love the Bert style character even at this age, but man, what a great character to he knows. The dude, like, he just knows.
Quick bit of trivia. Oh,
I'm dropping things. We're good.
Quick bit of trivia on the Bert character though.
Sure.
Did you happen to see like who SS Wilson wanted to play Bert in the first place?
No, was it like Lee Majors or something?
No. Think higher caliber actor.
Mel Gibson.
Higher caliber and older.
Anthony Hopkins. Skinnier. Willem Dafoe.
Clint Eastwood.
Oh, I could see that. I just don't know if he'd be very likable.
Oh, I doubt he would have been likable at all in the role, because he would have seen that and went, wow, this is terrible. I can't believe I signed on for this. Okay.
So after the intermission, Angel says, long story short, he was shot out of a cannon and a turtle was seen fleeing the scene. The end.
Question mark.
Oh, the end? The end?
The end.
I'm sorry, there should be a sequel. Such suspense. But not the will to deliver on it. Not the will. Cryptic.
They're saying they don't have the will to deliver on a sequel? Yeah.
I mean, I guess not. I guess not. Anyway, so...
Or just the will to deliver on the suspense of it. I don't...
For me, Kevin Bacon.
Because it sounds like he's got a great outline for a B film called Cellular Man.
Cellular Man. Does he like turn into a cell phone?
Well, clear. So, like, he loses his hand in a cellular accident, but the cellular device transfers into his own body, so he actually is a human
Can't he
cell
just
phone.
regrow his hand as a smartphone?
No, that would be too on the nose.
No, but he
But
wouldn't. He couldn't type like everybody else. He'd have to use one hand, and he'd have to get really, really fast with it on the one hand. Like, you know,
that sounds boring now.
he couldn't hit anybody with it. It would break his phone. You know, that's a detriment. Besides having the loss of a hand, that's if you had one and then don't, that's a detriment. Anyway, I thought Kevin Bacon was was supposed to be the draw for this movie, but he was like he's not likable. He's not likable in this movie.
Reba McEntire is the draw for this movie.
No,
you just need to
no.
right now. He is the draw for this.
Who plays Val's partner? The guy that pals around with him. What's the partner's name is what I'm asking. I always forget. Don't you have it right there?
It's one of those things where I didn't write it down because I know this in my head. And then the moment you're asking it, my brain goes, we don't know what words are.
Of course you don't know what words are. But it's because you're on the spot, right?
Uh-huh.
WIKK on the spot. Let's see. Tremors. Wow. Tremors. You'd think we got all the stuff ready, but we didn't get the facts right. All right. His name is Earl. Of course it's Earl. Why wouldn't it be something as simple as Earl? So Earl was my favorite standout character, though. Bert was great, but Earl, for me, I was like, all right, Earl just trying to get shit done, trying to do his thing, and no bullshit. Just wants to get through it all. And I love that. I think that's fantastic. He's like the greatest unsung hero in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, he is, realistically supposed to be like the most relatable character to the audience.
Bats jumped in and said Earl. Did you see that?
No.
She knows, but she's seen that movie more times than anybody I know. So, but
she watches it twice daily.
She literally sat there and watched me watch it so that she could get an experience through my eyes for the second time, if you will. And it was crazy. The movie streams have been great, Doctor. They've been great. They've been getting better, and we've been doing more. And we've got Monkish WIKK here as our new guy, right over here to my left, me to his right, if you will. And Jesse says, but if you ask a person if they've seen Tremors, there's always the one with Kevin Bacon. Yeah, because I mean, every other movie from the 80s had Kevin Bacon. So that's why the game Six Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
The most famous person to come from that film.
Right. Well, they gave him top billing. If you look at, he's on the poster. Here, let's go to the poster wall.
Well, to be fair, the poster, it's all three of the main characters.
No, but look at the poster. Well, you can't see it. Well, you should be able to here in a second. But if you look at the poster, it literally says Kevin Bacon right at the top of the poster and nobody else.
While we were focusing on this poster, I love that it is an all but direct ripoff of Jaws. It almost feels like they went, what if worms became sharks and they attacked people in the sand?
That works because it was a 90s flick, so it works for it. Yes. It doesn't work before that, but it does work. So anyway, whoa, how did the chat get moved way over there? That's funky. That's not where it should be. One, it needs to be way over here and up here, and then I need to move it over so that everybody can see it better. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I fixed it. Uh-oh. Now it's the story about the turtle. Angel's telling us about the turtle. So yeah, the Tremors movie I think is fun. I still want to do some music streams, Doc. I do plan on it, but I got to get my computer running a little better for me to run some FL Studios and to to really get that going, and I'm going to add some new music to this stream. So ultimately, there is plans to do more music. It's just a matter of doing that. And movies have, yeah, they've always been my comfortable spot. So that's totally true. And Monkish, and Monkish is actually my brother-in-law, and so we've known each other a long time, and we've worked in the movie industry together for a long time, whether it be video game or movie related. And we've been talking about movies for a decade and a half.
Yep.
Getting on 2 decades. So yeah, I definitely do plan on more music, and that'll just be on a different day. But I am glad that you're here to check it out. There will be more music. So back to the bigger view where people can actually see our mugs. So it is a series that I don't know if I'm going to tackle the whole thing, because man, it is a welcome back, Smash Bros. It is definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
What I can tell you about the series is you cannot pay me enough to watch anything beyond the second film in this series. So, like, just saying, when it comes down to it, please don't try to do anything with anything beyond Tremors 2.
We may not. Doc, I totally understand that. If music is your deal, I totally respect that, and I do plan on it. But do know that it's not always monster movies. It will be other types of movies as well. We did some rom-coms even at one point in the last couple months. So just keep it in mind. But I totally love that you came by. Thanks for saying hi. I don't know if I'll watch past 2, because that's what Bats McSkelly told me. She said don't watch past 2, but I might watch past 2. We'll have to see.
Just know that in one of them they go back in time to, like, the quote unquote Wild West, and it's interesting and in a horrible way.
Kind of like Turtles 3.
I would rather watch Turtles 3.
Really?
Yep. Give me Turtles in Time all day versus giving me anything beyond the second movie in the Tremors series.
So Jesse says they instead of graboids, they were initially going to make them sand sharks, which, I mean, that's kind of what they are. They just don't have fins, but they do push up dirt in such a way that it's like a mound, like a mole fin, I don't know. But that's the funness that is movie ripoffs. But totally, you're right about the poster. It's a complete freaking ripoff of Jaws, no doubt. It's but that's okay. I really doesn't bother me. There's very little about this movie I didn't enjoy. There are a couple groan moments, but what good cheesy horror flick doesn't have groan moments?
Well, especially a monster film. All monster films are going to have groan moments.
Yeah, they totally will. But these were like breaking the rule. Like, I hate movies that set up their own rules and then break them. Right? They totally. They're like, okay, they feel vibrations. Okay, that's great. They feel vibrations. Let's go with that. But talking is vibration, and walking around is vibration, and all these little things are vibration, and yet they kept doing that. Or Bert, shot with the elephant gun, killed one, beautiful, but then shot at them from outside through the ground, and it didn't work. But yet he kept doing that. He kept doing it over and over and over again. And those kinds of things. Crawl is going to have quite a few of these same tropes that drive me kind of insane. But that's part of loving movies and dealing with it. Hello, Alt. Welcome back. You're missing Angel's great stories about kind of this turtle from hell, it sounds like. Not really, but there was a turtle murder at one point. So, sorry, posture check. Yep. Come on, Monkish, you're sitting all funky.
I am sitting exactly how I can.
Exactly how you can, how your body will let you. Oh, here we go. Okay, I see at the end. So we're gonna check out what Angel's story is on this time. Okay, let's see. Okay, in a land far away in the not so near future, there was a turtle. This turtle was sad and bitter. Determined to see his friend again, the turtle started work on a machine. Let's see. The machine would transcend space and time. You'll have to let me know if. Oh, that's not it. Years went by until one day the turtle had a breakthrough. With the machine ready, the turtle jumped into the machine, hurling through space and time. The turtle was shot out, hitting a young man in the head and exploding. The turtle failed. Or had he? The end. Aw. That poor turtle. So now it's really nobody's fault. It's just circumstance. You should write both of these stories. These should be written together. So, the king of sequels. The Fly, I would agree, is the king of all or remakes or sequels. We'll get to that though, because I know how Monkish already feels. You can see it. You see it in his face. Look at his face right now. You can see it. Look at it. Look at that face. That face is so sad that we had to watch The Fly, but that's okay. We're gonna get there. What was your favorite moment from Tremors?
Favorite moment from Tremors is, it's hard not to say the entire film because I really truly just enjoy this movie. I think as far as an extended period of moments, I love the entire scene where they're up on the rooftop or the rooftops of the different buildings as they like trying to just completely avoid these at the time unnamed graboid creatures. I think it's probably
unnamed. They have a whole scene about naming them.
Yeah.
Graboids. But they say it right there in the first movie.
Yeah, it's not a great name for them. I don't care for the name for them. I would rather they be unnamed.
Or like, what about just worms? So I didn't even notice. So I apologize. You had an intense week. You tell us about that. You doing okay? And it sounds like everybody is just tired and having a long week. Jesse's at 45 hours and still going to work in the morning. Hence the reason she's probably not going to be here past the first film. Smash though. I saw you gaming earlier. That sounds like you were having a good time. Anyway, also, what are your guys' favorite moment from the movie Tremors? And I would assume most everybody's probably seen this one. Continue, Mr. Monkish WIKK.
Oh, I didn't have much more to say other than that. I just, I really enjoy that sequence of, well, if they come through the ground, let's go to the roofs as if buildings won't collapse. But, it's silly. It's just fun.
Especially when the first thing you find is that they buried a giant station wagon.
Yep.
With no effort.
Yep.
Now, okay. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, there's a point I want to make about this movie, which I thought was awesome for 1990. Okay. Although it's a little sad that it was 90, but whatever. The women in this film were on point most of the time. I'd say 95% of the time, which in most movies in that era, they were run scared, help me, which is sad. But in this movie, even the wife in the beginning, when the husband gets sucked underground, which is an awful scene if you're a married person, and man, it's hard for me to watch those things. But anyway, even in a stupid, silly movie like this, it still makes me go, man, that poor kid, or the poor couple is what I meant. But she immediately runs away and fights off as best she can the graboid that's there, gets in the car, locks everything, and just does everything she can. She's about to take off, and of course, there's no keys. Nothing she does is not her. It's outside of her control. She does everything right until the circumstances stop her. And I prefer that from characters rather than having characters who just make stupid decisions.
What's funny, though, is she had more than likely enough time in that situation, especially if you actually watch the scene. She has more than enough time to actually jump out of the car once she realizes there's no keys before they actually start lifting up the station wagon to then run and try to climb up on top of the motorhome. But yeah, in a time of panic, it's kind of hard to say which way would actually work out best.
Dang, Alt, that's terrible. Yeah. That's neither of those things is good. I'm sorry that you've had such a rough week. Maybe hanging out here and maybe we can laugh a little bit and talk about silliness, to unwind. That's what we try to do, is give everybody kind of the end of their weekend as something fun and relaxing to do. And so, yeah, I am sorry though. I do get it. But I agree with the doc. But yeah, chat, if you guys want, one, give some love to Alt. It sounds like Alt needs some positivity right now. But also let us know your favorite moment from the movie Tremors. Try to avoid the second film. I still haven't actually ever seen that one. And I do plan on... What? See? What? I know, I haven't seen Godzilla. I haven't seen Tremors 2. There's other movies I haven't seen that people are like, what? How have you never seen that? And because when you watch a lot of movies, you don't get to see them all. You just do your best. So, yeah, there are a lot of movies that I wish I had seen, and I plan on watching them. Hopefully.
I will give you one spoiler about the second one. Reba doesn't come back. So,
no, I know. Almost everybody doesn't come back.
Already, movie's done. 2 of the main characters from it come back. But, yeah.
See what Jesse's favorite part is?
Which I actually found out today was a scene that they had to dub over because originally it was the F word used there at the end, and they got an R rating, and they did not want an R rating for the film.
So they dropped the F bomb so that he had a PG-13 rating with all the gore?
They dropped it to where they could
Wait,
get... They
it is R-rated.
So originally, when it came out, they were trying to go for a PG-13 rating.
Oh, wait, it has a PG-13 rating. What the hell? So
yep.
where... Okay, I have it on Vudu, and on Vudu it says R.
Because it has since been upgraded to an R rating years later.
But it still didn't have the F-bomb.
The F-bomb is dropped twice in this movie.
But I thought the rules were you could only drop one F-bomb per PG-13.
Which is why it got upgraded to a rated R.
Because of the word fuck.
Yep, because of a secondary use of it. There were also scenes in it where, somebody says something like, what the shit? That, basically the whole reason that this movie got the original R rating in the first place was because they had too many curse words in it. So then they went through and redubbed a bunch of things to actually cover all of, or most of the curse words to try to drop it back down. So it's an interesting situation on that.
That's just ridiculous. But hey, we are talking about the MPA, or what we would have known it then as the MPAA. But, it's a group of people that basically decides what they think is appropriate for the whole of the country and now the whole of the world. Thank you for dropping the America and taking over the international world as a stage to determine what's appropriate. Thanks, guys. Thanks, small group of people. How about you just release movies and I'll determine what I think about them? But that's just me. I understand ratings for kids. That makes sense to me. But other than that, if it's for an adult, don't rate it. Leave it alone. Just leave it. Just show the movie.
Ultimately, that's what the rating is for, is to determine whether or not it's appropriate for a child.
But they rate things 4 ways for adults, dude. 4 ways for adults. That's too many ways for ratings to happen for people who should not have to have their... Say it's R, and stop that. If it's an R movie, don't let anybody under 17 watch it. And why give the X and the NC-17 and the XXX ratings for no reason, other than to just determine that that's just really inappropriate?
I was gonna say, I don't think it's for no reason. I think it's to try to keep, pornography from being something that's distributed to mainstream theaters, so that, somebody who does sneak in to see a quote-unquote R-rated film, it doesn't end up going, oh, wow, that was a lot more than anyone ever thought I was going to see.
Right. Oh, no, my Wi-Fi is not having any issues, but I mean, we are likely not even in the same city, so I doubt we're even on the same Wi-Fi network or region. So, but no issues on this end. How about you over there, one city over?
None whatsoever.
Okay. So, and I know we're kind of spread all over. There's folks in here from everywhere, but let's see. What's the dumbest? What is the dumbest moment in this movie? The moment that you're just like, ugh, why did they put that in there?
Realistically, the whole movie.
No, you got to pick one.
but,
Pick
but,
pick
I,
one.
but I love it. Um, the dumbest moment, actually, I would say, is the the opening, or not opening scene, but the scene there with the husband and wife getting taken out in the very beginning. I think it's something that could have been executed a little bit better. It still got the point across of what they do, but it showed us again that they could take down a station wagon with no issue, but then they have hard times with things like concrete walls.
Right. Well, not just
You
concrete
know,
walls, but then they have they go for only the tires on the big 4x4.
right. It's just a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Basically, for the rest of the film, that scene becomes lesser because of the inconsistency with what the graboids can do.
And that's my point. There are definitely tropes within these movies. I'm just like, oh man, and in all of them. Well, not for me, not so much The Fly. Um, the Fly is a little bit more like gross art to me, but we'll get into that. I wrote a list of things we could 10 scale. It seems excessive thinking about it right now, but at the same time, I wanted to go through it with each of these movies, even when they're kind of like cheesy like this, just to kind of laugh at how these ratings would really stack up.
Yeah.
So here we go. I'm going to go through it. So what about the camera work and the cinematography in this movie?
I mean, this movie basically looks like it was shot from a single camera at one angle at any given time. It really feels like this was a film that somebody went, yeah, I just kind of want to make a movie and we'll see how it goes. It kind of feels like it's lucky that it wasn't shot on like a camcorder at the time.
So you can tell they paid a lot for the crane camera in this
Oh
film
yeah,
because they use
yep.
it a little too much. Especially the only time that it made sense was right at the beginning when they're looking at the guy up in the wires. That's,
Yep.
is he alive? Is he dead? Is he drunk? And they look up, and so the shot is from above, looking down at them, which is a little weird looking, but I ran with it. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. They're from his perspective, even though wait, he's dead. So how would that camera perspective ultimately work? I digress from that. But then you see them use it numerous other times. Why are they using crane shots for ground monsters? That's all I'm saying.
One thing that it can be said about it is there are literally only two interior scenes for this entire movie. One is in the store. One is in the basement
At Bert's house.
At Bert's house.
Right.
So I could see them going, well, why not get the most that we can into a shot and let's do a bunch of overhead work, even though the actual stuff that's happening is happening on ground level or below.
So Jesse, I call that monster cam, and it's weird when they use it. And I'm not just meaning in this movie. It's weird when they use it all the time in things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For this movie, because it's cheesy enough, I think it works because it's okay that you're seeing from the monster's perspective.
When they do it, though, when they're crawling through the ground and you just see dirt flying past, it looks ridiculous.
That's what the worm sees.
Would the worm actually see anything?
No, the worm doesn't have eyes. Why would it see anything?
Exactly.
That's why it works for this movie. That camera is pointless, but it's hilarious. This movie is on the level of Army of Darkness for me. Like, this is that cheesy and that lame. Like, the lines are meant to be over the top like that. Nobody was taking this movie that seriously when they made it. So you didn't watch it because it's rated R. How? That says that you might not be allowed to watch rated R movies. So let's all keep that in mind. But there is a PG-13 version of it out there, but it's still just as disturbing and gross. Yeah. And it is there's some grossing moments.
If you watch the made-for-TV version of it, the edited-for-TV, version of it, almost all the grossness is gone from that film. All the curse words are covered up. It's actually a pretty boring film that way.
But the graboids are the only part that makes the film. Well, I mean, there are a couple of human characters that make it better, but I did notice that the girl from Jurassic Park was in this, and that threw me off because I think she was even younger in this.
Yeah, and she was way younger in this. She was
it's Salty Dog. What's up, Salty? I see a Salty on board. Ahoy. Oh, he's dabbing. He's dabbing. little shout out there for the captain. Always deserves a shout out. So does Just Jesse. Oh, come on now. I'm also going to shout out some Monkish WIKK because he deserves a shout out as well. Because he is a good co-host. Showing love. Thank you, Captain. We appreciate the love whenever possible. We know how it is out there in real life. It can be very difficult. We were just talking about that a little bit ago. Because we had... Oh, why are you not in the freaking chat, dude? Could you chat for me for a second, and then it'll tell me you're in there?
There you go. There's my standard hi.
How amazing. Thanks for the standard hi.
I'm a man of many words, so I know it's... I'll try to control myself from here on out.
You're playing Sea of Thieves. That's interesting.
That's been a week ago. That's interesting.
Yeah, you didn't change your Twitch information, so it didn't change.
Sure, yeah. Come watch me play Sea of Thieves right now. Just I'm multitasking.
Well, I mean, you could be. That's weird.
I mean, I could be, except you've seen me try to manage that ship.
No, you can't talk while you can't talk while you're playing a video game. Wait, your YouTube got banned? What the heck? Why did you have like an HDCP issue, like a copyright issue or something, and it got banned? Or because that's awful. I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, everybody. The banner over there on the other side of Monkish is supposed to blink, and I'm really bummed because it's supposed to be like a blinking banner from the street, and it's just not doing it.
But what's interesting is you didn't even have to say that. Everybody would just, oh, cool, it's a cool little banner.
Yeah, but I know it was supposed to work, and it makes me mad that it's not working, so I had to tell everybody.
But never apologize for what the audience doesn't know is working.
I'm including my audience.
But that's like television 101. Don't let the audience know that what was supposed to work isn't working. Just roll with it.
I'm rolling with telling you guys. So, all right, Doc. Hey, thanks, man. Really do appreciate you stopping by. And yes, I do plan on doing some more music in the future. So we'll see how that all goes.
See, there you go. The bulbs on the sign went out. That's what happened.
Oh, Smash has got my back. I appreciate it. So here are the movies we will be doing tonight. For those of you who just have arrived, we are doing The Fly, Crawl, Tremors, and then of course we've got our review for next week sitting up there. That's going to be the big one, which is Godzilla vs. Kong. We've got a whole week planned out for next week. So any movie redemptions will have to come in the future. We are going to continue to finish up our March Monster Movie Mayhem. So week 5, the final week next week. So make sure you guys tune in for that one. It should be good because our resident cynic is going to have a lot to say about some of the Godzilla films. And it's going to be interesting because I think we're going to hate on the films equally, but not the same ones. It's going to be interesting.
I was going to say, I could say a lot about them right now, but you know,
we're going to hold off. We're going to hold off. But for next week, we will be doing a few different flicks. But we'll save that for the end. What? Hosting the stream. Thank you, Mr. Captain Salty Dog. I appreciate it. That's really, really awesome. I appreciate that, sir. So we're moving on to more about Tremors here. We spent a little bit more time about Tremors. Did you have some trivia that you found about that movie at all?
I mean, I've been kind of giving trivia bit by bit as we've been going. One of the things that I thought was kind of most interesting about the overall creative process behind this film, S.S. Wilson, the creator, the writer, basically did everything for the film, was in the desert working one day and took a break on a rock. And while laying there, happened to be like, what would it be like if there was some mysterious creature that was keeping me from getting off of this rock? And that was like the start of the whole Tremors thing. Just that little idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I was reading what Alt said last. I apologize. If you shout out people, it hosts the last known stream. I did not know that. I've never heard of that before. And panic calmly and place them on hold is what I do when I work IT as well. It's just quick thinking when you need to change things. So you've basically just given us all the trivia, Monkish, and just run with it.
No, I mean, there's still a little bit more trivia, but
Let's hear it.
So this one I think is a little on the funny and slightly crass side, but the original design for the graboids, they actually had a protective armor layering that when they would come above ground would actually roll back and expose a slimy interior before they would even like open their mouths or anything like that. They had to rethink this whole design though, because the cast and crew couldn't stop giggling because it looked like an uncircumcised penis.
Well, okay, which I can already, those wormy things in the mouths already have that problem, but you can tell they were like robotic arms with like the slimy, silicone put on the outside, and it was just like, you kind of tell.
This was before even the tentacle snake things would pop out of the mouths. This was the original design where it would pop out of the ground and then a sheath would peel back and it would be this slime covered fleshy thing inside it.
That is just disgusting. I don't like that I have a good imagination, because then I can see those things. Welcome back on your phone. Welcome back. Yeah, no, the special effects in this were definitely gross. They weren't so gross I couldn't handle it, but they were definitely like, oh, I probably wouldn't eat, porridge or anything weird like that while watching this flick. Wouldn't be the greatest thing ever. Not ever. Hold on just a sec. My phone's acting weird and I was trying to figure out why.
So
I see why. Okay.
As we talked about, Kevin Bacon earlier on this, he actually post-production had a breakdown on the sidewalk with his pregnant wife at one point, believing this film would be the end of his career.
I mean, his career was about midway at the time, so yeah, I could understand that. And it's not a great film for his career. Like, this is what I would consider a low point. But only a couple years later, he was doing Apollo 13, so...
Well, and, just a few years ago, anyway, I don't know the exact date, but he was doing an interview where he actually said that this was the single most fun filming experience he has ever had in his life.
Did you read what she wrote just now?
Yep. Basically like that.
Like a dog's red rocket. That's just fantastic imagery. Love. I appreciate that so much. Gross.
But not furry, more scaly and
so like a snake version. Okay, we've gone way down the rabbit hole on this one. So what other trivia do you have besides Red Rocket trivia?
So two people who were up for Kevin Bacon's role before the studio finally found him and went, no, we need you on here. Okay. Bill Paxton.
Okay.
And Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell, he can play anything.
I mean, yeah. But the role was offered to both Bruce Campbell and Bill Paxton before, and they turned it down before they landed on Kevin Bacon.
Look at those. I love those puppy dog emotes. Those are fantastic. Gross, because he's just throwing out more Red Rocket, but anyway.
Exactly.
That's just gross. So let's see.
I just think it'd be interesting to think about that film had Bruce Campbell played Val.
But then it would have been two Earl type characters. I think he would have made a much better Earl.
Yep, I agree. But I just think it's funny that...
So who was the other person again? So you said it was Bruce Campbell or who?
Bill Paxton.
So Bill Paxton could have played Val and Bruce Campbell could have played Earl.
Well, I mean, they were both offered the role of Val.
I know, I'm just saying, imagine that version of this movie. And then, of course, it would have to have gotten grosser, and you would have more gross, and you would have had to have thrown more slime on Bruce Campbell, or it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
if you don't cover that dude in slime, you know, or sweat, because it works, you know, if you're watching Burn Notice, it works really well. Godzilla vs. Kong is the #1 movie monster of all time, and it's not even out. By whose standard? I'm confused by that. But yeah, let us know. What do you mean by that? And yes, I think everybody's excited about it. I know we're excited about it because it's going to be, you know, a big Godzilla week.
It's going to be awful. I know that much about it. Like,
what?
If
Why?
I walk away enjoying that film, I will be surprised. But it's going to be awful. It just that's again. I don't think I'm going to be satisfied with whatever route they actually give for an ending.
Joker throwing the bits, man. Thank you for the bits. Thank you so much. That's so very, very awesome of you. I did not know if we would see you tonight, sir. Good to see you out and about, saying hi, doing your thing, and hanging out with us here. We are talking about Tremors, and we're well into Tremors, like really far into Tremors. And Jesse, thank you for the shout out for Joker. Just lurking, yeah. I figure you're probably working or going to be working soon. But thank you for stopping by and saying hi. Let's go back to my list. So the camera work we laughed at. So we're going to give like a 2 direction, kind of same thing with camera work in this case, because I wouldn't really say the direction really stood out in any really meaningful way. The acting...
I almost assume all the actors actually just self-directed for this film.
That's what it feels like, where they're just like, here's your line, and man, just punched in. Yeah, I bet. Long night ahead of you, but it's what's the East Coast, so it's 11 for you. Will do. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. Thank you for lurking. We appreciate it. Let's see. We've got other... Oh, spoilers in the chat. Oh.
Okay, but what did I say last week?
I know, you predicted that. And, you know,
yep.
We'll see how it goes. Maybe Mechagodzilla's the good guy and King Kong and Godzilla are the bad guys. So
you're not going to do that.
Hey, I have my predictions. You have yours.
You have your false dreams. That's what you have.
Okay, so what about set design? So like,
what set design? They had no sets to design. They filmed this all in the desert, and okay, they had two buildings, 2 rooms that they built.
You're good, Alda. I'm just kidding around. You heard nothing. You're good. I agree that, you know, that's true, but set design is also like, I guess you could also include like location scouting into that, you know, because part of the set is where they scout to go. So I don't know. How do you feel about that?
But what kind of location scouting goes into? We need desert.
There's many types of deserts. What kind of desert? Do you want a rocky desert? Do you want a sandy desert? Do you want a big like sea, you know, savannah? You know, not savannah. You know, that big desert in Africa that I can't seem to think of the name of right now. The Sahara. I think that's the one. Yeah, we are so we're kind of a spoiler. If we're gonna get rocking with the spoilers, we do have a spoilers sign that we'll put up, and we try not to spoil endings. And I think that's kind of a big twist that potentially could coming. And we all suspected it to some degree, but it's still, you know, it's all good. We just try to make sure that everybody gets a chance to experience it in their own way. And you know, once the spoil happens, everybody can go nuts and talk about it. But it's tricky in a stream.
I assume that when we review Kong versus Zilla, we're going to have the spoiler warning up the entire time.
We're going to have it up a lot because we're going to definitely chickens do eat chicken nuggets, and it's gross, but it's true. Yeah, you can see all that kind of stuff on TikTok. It's pretty bizarre. No, what we'll do is we're going to have a new spoiler sign because there's still a few more things to add here, but we'll have one that definitely says, hey, we're talking about movies that if you haven't seen, we don't want it to be ruined for you. So all you do is mute us, you know, and still see our pretty faces.
think we also need to bring out some type of like 10-second countdown to spoiler moment.
Well, yeah, I agree. But the rule for the channel will be when that thing's blinking, we'll be talking, and we'll always say spoilers coming, and then we'll
Right.
turn it on. So if somebody does come in and they see it blinking, there's still an odd chance, you know. But I also list this actual chat or channel as spoilers, so it's listed literally as a tag. So that's why Alt also came in here and threw spoilers, because that's the way it's listed. So you did nothing wrong in that way. So we're kind of it's the same way we throw a little swearing here and there, but we try to keep it minimized. We're trying to find that middle road where, you know, people understand that we're adults that are reviewing movies, whether they be for kids or adults. We have an adult viewpoint, and there's going to be some cursing and some lewd things that we talk about, but we're going to keep ourselves in check. So it's a balance between all of us. So thank you for trying to let us know cool things. So that I just want to make sure everybody knows we're all good. Angel says, I'm listening, so let me know when to jet for spoilers on Godzilla versus Kong. See, that's what I'm talking about. Some people are really excited about this movie, and we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to watch it in their own way. Same thing for the movie we're going to review in a few weeks. So we've actually decided what we're doing for April. We're going to be doing the video game movie month. So it's really only going to be 3 weeks, but you know, that's all we really need for video game movies for now. We're going to obviously be doing the new Mortal Kombat, which will be coming out on the 16th. Is that right, Monkish?
Yes.
So, and that'll be
unless they just push it back or pull it forward again.
Right, which I don't think so, because it's close enough. But we're looking at the 16th for Mortal Kombat, so we'll be reviewing that the following week. We're likely to have a few guests this next month. Got a couple of total... Ready Player One. So if you want me to annihilate a film completely and aggressively, I can review Ready Player One. But I don't know if I would consider that a video game movie. It is a video game, a movie about like video games, but it's not a movie from a video game. And that's kind of what we were projecting with Mortal Kombat. So
we're not doing, talking about more like movies actually based on video games.
Right. Now, it is a little bit, because they did add in some real world stuff. And if it was more based truly on the original book, it would be even more about real video games. But it's not. But that doesn't mean we won't. But I do want to forewarn that I'm not going to have very much kind to say about that film. Mostly because I'm a book fanatic on that one, and that's just already unfortunate. So I just try to avoid it for not being a total dick, because that's one movie where I've I don't think I'm going to say much other than it was pretty. It was pretty. Did you watch it yet?
No.
Okay. So, but you haven't read the book either.
Nope. I have not done anything involving any of that.
Interesting. Anyway, Jesse, I'm not opposed, but and maybe a new viewing with my fresh eyes, trying to be more relaxed when watching movies, which is what I'm trying to do. Maybe I'll see something different, and I haven't read the book in a few years, so we'll see. Okay, so there we go. Now we're talking. Now we're getting into the realm I wanted to talk about.
Which Tomb Raider?
Okay, so I already had a request, and kind of a pseudo request, from one of the guests we might have for the newest Tomb Raider.
Horrible film.
You want to review the first one with John Voight and...
Also horrible film.
You're spoiling the reviews, man. We're supposed to decide and review later.
No, I can go further in depth right now on all 3 of the Tomb Raider films into how horrible they are. I'm not spoiling anything just by saying they're horrible films.
Tomb Raider 2018, and they recast the girl so she looks like the girl from the video game. The new video, newer version.
It's
the same actress?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes it even cooler.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Have low standards.
I mean, I don't know. Oh, see? Yeah. Ashley says, or Bats says, stay alive. But again, that's... So, okay. So we got to make a distinction. That's a movie about video games. Yeah, we want to do movies based on video games, not movies about video games. So,
So as much as it's a terrible film, we could do Resident Evil, not Stay Alive.
right. So we were thinking super. So Angels nailed it. So Super Smash, Sonic. I do want to watch Need for Speed in this because it's my all-time favorite video game movie.
Why did you say Super Smash first of all?
I meant Super Mario.
Okay, I was like, I don't think
Super Smash, the video
Smash
game, or the video game movie where it's just a bunch of brawling, and everybody falls off cliffs a lot. So,
and I will tell you, you said Need for Speed the film. I have tried watching that film with you. I walked out of the room. That movie is ridiculously bad.
yeah, but I want to know why you think it's bad in its entirety. I want you to see the whole thing and then tell me piece by piece why you think it's bad. Give a full review so that the viewers.
Tell you that it's a flaming pile of dog crap left on somebody's doorstep.
But you don't know that. You've only seen half the film.
That's all I needed.
Well, no, because you literally don't know how it ends.
Don't care. Don't need to.
Okay, I need somebody to redeem 4,000 points so we can put Need for Speed on the list.
And I can take vacation time for that.
Unless okay, Resident Evil doesn't count, and those movies are their own thing. I mean, they count because again, if you look at Super Mario Brothers, the film, it is nothing like the video game, other than they have the names.
And keep in mind that Paul W.S. Anderson, as he made the Resident Evil films, said that he was so happy that they were sticking so truly to the source material.
Wait, Bats, what do you mean if Stay Alive doesn't count, neither does Resident Evil? Resident Evil is literally based on a video game series from the PlayStation. Stay Alive is based on... Oh, wait. Isn't Stay Alive have a real video game in it? Hold on. No, I think it does. What's the real video game? I swear it might have been real. Help me out, Bats. Let me know. I think it is, but it might be one of those ones that crosses the like threshold. We'll see.
So there's Dead Alive, but Stay Alive, the MMO whatever game that they were playing, that was a completely made up thing.
I don't think it was. I think it's a real game. I remember her and I having that discussion about this because I was intrigued by like, wait, they close to the source barely.
Oh yeah, no, the Resident Evil films are horribly inaccurate.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we're not saying.
I thought it was hilarious that Paul Anderson was like, "I'm so proud we're staying so close to the source material on these films."
It was loosely based on other games. Okay, see now it's back into the realm of fiction, so which is fine. There's something. I mean, we could maybe do like there's not that many movies like about games, as many as there are about like or that are. I don't know. We have 3 weeks. We have 9 movies essentially.
Exactly.
So we have to be very selective about how we pick these. But although it sounds like, have you ever seen Stay Alive, Monkish?
Yep. I actually watched it with Bats McSkelly a few years back, and it's an okay film at best. It's not something that I would recommend anybody watch. And realistically, I think there is little to nothing that's actually intriguing about the storyline, but it's also a horror film, so you can almost expect that from a horror film based on a made-up video game.
You know that all horror films at their base are kind of right? So you got to just let that go right away.
Well, no, I don't let that go. I hope that somebody will eventually one day build a horror film that's higher than that.
Okay. So Angel, those movies hit a sore spot for me too, and you can actually. So going back into Monkish's past a little bit here, there was someone in his life that was really important to him. I was
dating a dude who
loved the Resident Evil films. Like go to the theater on opening night type of love. Like talk about the production value, talk about how they made this, how they made that. Like and we're talking about some of the worst movies ever fucking made ever. And
this is not just that we went to opening night to see it. This is we went to opening night to see multiple of these films and went back at least 3 times in that same weekend to watch the film.
Yeah, no, that's I okay. When the first one came out, I watched it and I went, okay, that's all right. They had some cool, they had the tongue licker and the dogs, and I was like, okay, some fun stuff. But they, you
Why
know,
do you call it the tongue licker?
I don't know. That's what I always call them anyway.
It's
So
just a licker. It's not out there licking people's tongues. It's just
whatever,
called a
dude.
licker.
It creeps me out, and I see a tongue, and I see that it's licking, so it's a tongue licker anyway. So it's
It's you're just
my
reversing
point.
lick-a-tongue from Pokemon.
Well, this was before was it before Lick a Tongue? Right around the same time. Anyway, I predate Pokemon, so I sometimes, forget that everything's related
You
back to Pokemon.
predate most biblical references, but here we are.
I do not predate David and Goliath.
I said most.
Everything before David and Goliath is pre Snidbits. It's PS, pre Snidbits. That's the era of time. Moving on. So we didn't rate Tremors, and it's 8:00. We need to rate Tremors. We also didn't finish up with my little fun list of things for it. So here we go. Tear jerk factor.
None.
What about funny factor?
It's got a decent amount of funny to it.
Yeah, I agree. Could you rate that 1 to 10? Because that's the one I think so far that we could actually give a rating to.
I would honestly give that. I mean, like I said, it's got a decent amount of it. The jokes haven't really held up, but they're also not like super offensive jokes either. So they're decently out there. I would give that on the funny factor probably a 6 of 10.
6 of 10. I could agree with that. Maybe a 7. I laughed pretty hard, especially at Bert. There's a creep factor.
Again,
sorry. Go ahead.
Again, though, you watch it for the first time, basically.
Right.
This is a movie I've seen.
Well, I'm trying to get you to remember from when you first watched it, because that's the best we're going to get.
When I first watched it, I think I was like 11 years old. I'm not going to remember back to that point.
So it was like a 9 for an 11-year-old.
Oh yeah, for an 11-year-old, that whole movie was like a holy crap, this is amazing and scary, and
that's why it's one of your favorites. So really, it's a 10 because it stuck with you.
You said really it's a what?
A 10 because it stuck with you. By the scale that we've made for the show, 10s are the ones you'll revisit over and over and over and over and over.
I have never once in my life rated a film a 10.
No, I know, but this isn't about perfection. That's not the way this scale works. This is literally about, do you revisit the film and love it? That's what a 10 is. That's all it means. It does not mean you think it's a perfect film. That's just kind of your overall, like, do I love this? Princess Bride is a 10. Empire Strikes Back is a 10. Because these are films everybody goes back to. Shawshank Redemption. These are movies that everybody could probably agree that as far as rewatchability and everybody universally loving them, it makes them a 10. There's a reason they're classics, I guess, And so I try to go on a classic space scale rather than like trying to rate art, which I think is really shitty to do. Because I do art and I don't really want somebody coming along and go, yeah, your shit's a 3, dude. I don't really, it's not what I mean by it. Is it for me? 10. If it not for me? 1. And somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
So The Fly, for you, is like a 2. Even though the movie may production quality be high, may be all these things, it just means that you prefer to avoid it.
Okay.
And that way we don't... I'm trying to avoid stepping too hard on toes because I've had the criticism of my critiques being pretty harsh. And I know that you're more cynical than I am. So...
I welcome that my critiques are too harsh.
No, but it's fine. Because when you love a movie, you gush over a film.
Yeah.
When you love it, you're like, this is what's good about it. This. And it seems like there's like 3 movies you love. But like if every movie doesn't fit into those 3 films, you don't want to watch them. Oh, I lost you. Did you quit? Are you mad? Okay. I lost you for a second there. That was weird.
Yeah, we just had a slight connection issue.
So Jurassic Park, like I've watched it over 300 times. Easy. Oh, we are having a connection issue big time right now. That's really bugging the crap out of me. Because nothing's changed. I didn't change anything. Man, there's even a flicker in your camera now. Oh, that's so sad. We've done so well today.
On my end, there's been a flicker in my camera the entire time.
Okay, then we'll just, it is what it is. So Jurassic Park, I was going to bring this up when the Fry Guy was on the show, but I didn't, and I really wanted to. And I'm going to bring it up right now since literally this movie was brought up, and then we'll rate we'll rate Tremors and then move to the next movie. There is a huge, and I mean ridiculously huge, continuity error in Jurassic Park. And Monkish and I have talked about this. When
I think anyone with eyes knows.
I would hope so, but I want to know. Not everybody's seen this, so yes, she's obsessed with all of them, all 5 of them. So, when the T-Rex arrives on the scene for the second time, so it's raining, they're on their way back to the compound. The 2 Jeeps, or Explorers, I guess they were Explorers, stop, and the T-Rex is to their right, off over that cement slab with the fence, right? Right.
How is that the second time that the T-Rex shows up?
Because the first time is when they're going. Well, it doesn't show up. Sorry. The second time they're at the T-Rex pen is what I meant. Sorry. So yes, Angel, that's exactly right. So the T-Rex walks out from solid ground, tearing the fence open in one specific place. There's only one place, and then goes out, destroys the freaking Jeeps or the freaking Explorer, and then turns around and then knocks the Jeep off a cliff that's like 150 feet tall with a tree that wasn't there before. What the hell? Does anybody else? I know Angel saying that they agree that they saw this, but come on, am I the only one that saw this enormous error almost right away?
No, everybody saw it. Something else, though, that happens in that same set of scenes is there is the scene where the Rex is looking down at Sam Neill and trying to decipher if he's there or not, basically, whatever.
Right.
And he huffs out of his nostrils, and you can see a puff of air pop upwards towards Sam Neill's face to knock his head
from below,
rather
than from in front of him, which might not have knocked that off. Yeah, that's hilarious. I think I've seen that one as well. And don't get me wrong, I think that movie is magic. Like, that movie is one of the best roller coaster movies ever put together because of what it was when it came out, moving the digital production, not relying too heavy on the digital stuff, because they definitely went for some practical effects, especially the giant T-Rex heads. But hell, we could literally do a whole Jurassic Park night on this show and just talk Jurassic Park for an evening. So
the next World is slated to come out, sometime soon anyway.
Well, we'll have to do like a 2-week thing.
Yep.
Or do the original trilogy and then the new trilogy or something like that. So that'll be fun. So why don't you go ahead and give me a rating on Tremors and do your best. Try to stick with the rating system we just talked about. See what you think.
Ultimately, I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. So you still rewatchable. You might suggest it to people if they like that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's still a movie I would suggest. It's just not a movie and be like, oh my god, you have to see it. No, if you enjoy cheesy but fun romps through the desert, go for it.
Cheesy, that's like the slime that they exude. It's like a cheesiness, right?
I mean, sure. Yep.
The T-Rex trembling because of the rain is your favorite? You mean because it got hit by raindrops because they're too big because it's a fire hose?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you mean? Oh, we got a frozen Monkish WIKK over here. That Monkish WIKK is frozen. Oh, you're back. Okay, you were frozen for a second.
Oh, it never cut out on my end, so I don't know what happened.
That's weird. Okay, so you give it a 7. I'm actually going to give it a 9. I think I'm going to rewatch this sooner than later, which is really odd. I didn't think I'd feel that way. There were 3 other things that I had, and then, of course, the overall, which we're doing right now. But there was creep factor, which you had mentioned. Gross factor, which not all movies are going to have it, but I'll put it out there anyway. And then rewatchability / recommendation. So
yeah, I think everything kind of factored in.
Oh, yes.
It's a.
They had to take care of the props because the props were in danger of being destroyed.
Yeah, when the props started short circuiting because of all the water damage they were receiving.
Right. Agreed.
I just had something and then it left my head the moment I started talking.
All right, well, we can move on to the very next movie. But why don't we, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and take us over to the theater for a minute. And so we've got some movies that we looked up here that should be coming out real soon. One of them we already mentioned is Godzilla vs. Kong that comes out on Wednesday, HBO Max and in theaters. So that'll be a big release this week. Weren't there a couple other movies that were coming out in theaters, Monkish?
As far as coming out in theaters,
Yeah.
not really.
I think there was one that we talked about that was coming that we thought looked interesting. There's some Bollywood stuff. You love the silhouettes. I do too. And I like that the chat's really big right in the middle so you can see your chat right across the chairs. I don't know. It's just kind of fun. The curtains they need some work. We'll get there. It was just quick curtains. Let's see. I was going to look up what's coming soon, but I don't see. Here it is. Coming soon to theaters. Okay. This is what I was looking at. So next week, or this week, there was one horror movie called The Unholy that's coming out. And it's got Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Carrie Elwes, which I thought was an interesting pair. A hearing impaired girl is visited by the Virgin Mary and can suddenly hear, speak, and heal the sick as people flock to witness her miracles. Terrifying events unfold. Are they the work of the Virgin Mary or something much more sinister? So, Tremors for you is a 6. Love it. Hard to watch now. I get that. We should do silhouettes of our viewers. Now, first, before I can do silhouettes of the viewers, and I think that's a brilliant idea because there's a whole bunch of seats there that we could fill. Jesse's totally on par right there, don't you think, Monkish? Let me do this real quick. No, that's the screen. This is the release. Boom. There we are. So here we are sitting in the theater, which I think is kind of fun. And where's the Fry Guy? So the Fry Guy has a lot of stuff going on in life right now. So the Fry Guy had to retire from the show for now. But I will put the Fry Guy silhouette in there, and as well as the Fry Girl who was on the show. And I need a Captain Salty Dog. Now, Jesse, we don't have a cartoon character for you. We'll need one since you are our mod right now, and she's doing an awesome job with all the shout outs and everything and saying hello to everybody. So we'll need to get that going. But we'll talk about that later. But I agree. This would be fun to have all the different silhouettes in here of all the different viewers. Now, there'd only be so many viewers that could get in there. Maybe it'll be subscribers. What do you think, Monkish?
I think it would be a little bit more of a fun thing to have the subscribers in there, like a little bit more of like a actually come be part of this with us moment.
Right. I'm also hopefully going to get to the point where we'll have some clips here in this theater portion of maybe our favorite parts and try to get the interactivity even further. Oh, okay. Alt's got an idea there. You should do a sub-ticket goal where it's called Make a Silhouette. So, and yes, Jesse, I went with an elephant because the elephant's always been one of my favorite animals. I have many, but elephant's top of the list probably. And I know that Monkish has always been a huge fan of penguins. And so we went with the, Bits the elephant or Snidbits the elephant, if you will, and then WIKK the penguin, if you will. So, name it what you want. Fry Guy is literally named after, my friend Ed Fry, who that's his last name, Fry. So you went with the Fry Guy. And Fry Girl's favorite creature is the sloth. So it's really that simple. So if you have a favorite critter, let me know. I will do my best to make a cartoon of it. So I try. I'm not the best, but I'm trying. So let's see. We're going to move on to the Fly at this point, or do you want to leave the Fly for the end and do Crawl next?
That is your call on that. Either way.
Why don't we do the Fly first? That way we leave it on a high note with you being happy about Umbreon. Oh, see, now that's a copyrighted critter.
Yep.
So I can't do copyrighted critters. If it's a critter from our world or something you've made up that you don't mind if I draw, I can do that, but I gotta avoid the copyrighted stuff. The only reason I put copyrighted stuff on here is because we're reviewing those movies. And then all the stuff you see behind me is actually fan art. So I'm pretty safe there, I think. I don't even know if I could draw an Umbreon. Well, that's your closet of secrets.
Well, no, I drew that. I'm a fan of my closet, so I drew a picture of it, and that's what's actually behind me right now.
So I saw somebody who actually, you can do a green screen of your room if you set your room up perfectly and you want to like let it get messy. You film your room for a while and then run it on repeat on your green screen, and you don't have to clean it.
What do you mean let it get met? My room's you should see the floor around me. There's nowhere to step. I just kind of let everything settle where it does, and then once every month or so, I go, maybe it's time to clean things. Oh, there's another spot to put it. It's fine.
That's hilarious. Okay, so and I know because I've lived with you, so I know what your room is like. So let's do The Fly. Let's move on to The Fly. So The Fly, 1986. This is a David Cronenberg film. It went through make a drip silhouette of you that I made. But a goth owl. Ooh. Okay, I'll look into owls. That's a great one. Okay. As far as the silhouette of me, that throws me. That'd be really odd to put a silhouette of me in with all these critters. But I guess I'm not completely opposed. But am I your favorite animal? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're getting from that, Monkish?
I mean, you're not my favorite animal, so.
No, I know. I'm not a penguin. Right? I'm not your penguin. Okay, so we're gonna talk about The Fly. David Cronenberg directed the film The Fly, which is a remake to the 1958 Vincent Price film The Fly. This is a remake that kind of took a completely different approach than most remakes do and went wicked gross. And it was a movie that really went through production hell because the original director had a family crisis and had to drop directing the film. So they brought Cronenberg on, and there was a lot of weirdness to get the film made, but it was made. And
so you're saying that this was the Justice League of '88,
86, but essentially, sort of.
Whatever.
Because when Cronenberg came on, there was already a writer on the production and a bunch of different people, and he came in and said, "If you want me to make this movie, I will. I need $1 million." And they said, "Okay." Actually, he said 750, and they were like, "We'll give you $1 million." He was like, "Okay, fine." And so they went ahead with it, but he basically kicked the writer off the show and brought in his own writers. He basically said, "If you don't let me bring in my entire team, I'm not doing this." And that's how Cronenberg kind of approaches things. And so that's what he did. And so his choice of Jeff Goldblum was a big one. His choice of director of photography and cinematography, as well as the score, all people that were the editor was somebody that worked for him. So like, this is all, done by one team that had already worked on Dead Zone together. And then the production team that did the special effects was actually the Gremlins crew, the original Gremlins special effects crew. And they actually didn't do Gremlins 2 because they were asked to do The Fly. So, and if you look, like, as far as special effects go, The Fly is ridiculous as far as special effects in the 1980s. It pushed the boundaries kind of across the board on things and pushed us into a realm of really disgusting. More disgusting than most any film at the time. At least, main release to main theaters type of thing. So you told me straight up that you did not like this film.
Nope, I didn't.
And you told me
I had watched it. Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, I had watched it originally as a kid when I was somewhere between 10 and probably 13 years old.
Too young.
And I remember not really caring for it at that point, but myself as an adult was like, well, that's likely because you were a kid and it was a kind of a gross film, so not surprising. You want me to just launch into this because I've got some things to say.
So why don't you just give me your first overall impression, and then we have an hour to kill, so let's not decimate it in 10 minutes.
My first overall impression, my first overall impression, there is not an ounce of chemistry between these two main actors. And I know that they were dating, blah, blah, whatever. Again, I will say it. You do not have to have chemistry with somebody to date someone. It just makes it a hell of a lot better.
It couldn't have been that she was like a fast-paced reporter who was dealing with her own crises with her ex-boyfriend, and Jeff Goldblum was an odd duck to begin with. Or I guess Brundle.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But had they, I don't know, maybe even done anything to develop the characters before any of that story came out, it could have been there. But there's no explanation realistically as to why these two would actually be together in any way, shape, or form, other than her just wanting to have a story to tell and him offering her a story.
So that's the beginning. I mean, that's definitely what intrigues her back to his place and what keeps her looking, at what's going on. And as soon as she thinks it's no longer just like a scam, she starts to get interested. And then they spend quite a bit of time together. I mean, he may be a weirdo, but he has charm about him, and he plays the piano, and he's a genius, and he's gotten grants, and so her attraction to him makes sense to me. And then his attraction to her because he's lonely just automatically makes sense to me because he had been lonely, and that's why he wanted somebody in the first place. He even says that in dialogue.
I wholly disagree that he has charm.
You don't think he's charming in that movie?
Not
right in the beginning. In the beginning.
Nope. I'm sorry, who invites somebody back to their house without any preamble to say, oh, I can play the piano. Do you want to come back and hear me play a piano? Whatever, anything like that. Invite somebody into their home and just sits down and starts playing the piano.
People do that.
That's a weird person.
He's a weird person.
Yeah, and that would not intrigue me as a person to want to stay. I'd be like, well, you've got your own things going on.
You're not a reporter.
With the stories I dig up.
All I'm saying is, for me, it works. I see why she would have stayed, why she would have been intrigued. And then he says, look, if you stick around and write this book, and then, of course, it's got to be months that they're working on this. It's not days. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell. Yeah, exactly, Angel. I totally agree.
It's done in a montage.
I have too. I'm a weirdo. I'm a weird duck, so I do weird things. Like I used to drive down the street, and you know this, Monkish, and yell things like peanut butter at people just to see if they'd yell jelly back. And of course, if they don't yell jelly, they're wrong. Anyway.
I remember those days.
I'm a weirdo.
Have tried to drink to forget those days.
Oh. What are you drinking?
Bubbly.
What?
And not champagne. The
scrubbing bubbles. Water. Scrubbing bubbles.
Yeah. I'm just
We do not condone or say that anyone should do anything like that. By the way, stay away from the scrubbing bubbles. Just get that out there for a PSA. So, oh hey, oh, that's so sad. It's so empty. I gotta go put together some more coffee. Think you can handle the chat on your own? I feel like you get lonely when I go.
This group is so unruly. I don't think I can keep them in line.
I know. Look at that. A comment every 5 minutes?
I know. And here's the thing, though. I want to keep talking about The Fly. You want to hear what I have to say about The Fly because you want something to argue it. So you better get that coffee real quick.
No, go ahead. I want to hear more of what you have to say. So Angel says, with no context, I asked your girl to come over and I cleaned the whole time till I was like hungry. That's pretty weird. And not a bad way. Just that's not something socially acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds strange. I can see that a little bit more for some reason because at least it shows like you're interested in them having a, clean place to actually do whatever you're going to do.
Right.
I would still be a little weird if I was invited to somebody's home. They're like, oh, sorry, it's a mess. I'm going to clean up while you're here. I'd be like, do you want me to just come back later?
Or couldn't you have done that before I came over?
Right.
But no offense, because I get it. Like, I'm also, when you're nervous, you clean, right? So maybe you're nervous about the person being over. So, ayo. What's ayo?
Ayo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just on another podcast last week, and or was that the week before? Man, the weeks are blending.
It's the week before.
And no, it was last week, because it was before our, exactly, you were hella nervous, so cleaning is a way to deal with that. It was last week, but it was the Friday before our show, so it feels like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. No matter how we slice it.
But these are some of our, this is Joker and his buddy Gary, and they're talking about, what it's like in New York, and one of their things to say is you don't have to do that. I just wanted the whole world to know that I have the greatest wife in the entire planet. Whole planet. Nobody gets to take the title. She's the greatest. She is the greatest. 100%. She literally just saw that I said I was out of coffee, and I did not ask her for it. She just came to get it. She's refilling it for me. So sweet. That's his sister, by the way. That's
at least sister. One of my siblings was given the nice gene.
Oh boy. You need one what? You need a wife?
Huh?
No, look at the chat. I'm talking to the chat. Yes, my gay brother needs a wife. Yes, totally. No. And you're like out. So like, you wouldn't even deal with having a beard or anything, right? Or would you be a beard? How does that work? Let's get past this topic and move on. Okay.
You're asking that question to somebody who prances around in 6-inch stiletto heels. Like, do you think I would have a beard? No.
No, that's what my point was. That was my point. The whole point is that you wouldn't need one. You're so out, you would never go for. That's what I'm saying. You're so out, you would never have such a thing.
No.
Right. Okay. So we are on the same page. I just said it weird, as usual. Damn, that's hot. Okay. So let's talk about The Fly. You were going to say some more things. So you said no charisma. Okay. That's fine.
No charisma. I honestly, I know I am likely going to catch some words for San Fran, bears everywhere. Yeah, that is true.
Anyway, are you from San Fran, Angel? Sorry, he said San Fran. That's my old stomping grounds. That's why I'm asking. I used to live in San Rafael back in the day. And then Alt, I will totally take a look at the. Actually, I'll do that right now because I can. Look at that. What? I have an iPad, so I can look at things. Let's take a look. You were gonna say? Go ahead, Monkish.
Anyway, what I'm gonna say is I know I'm going to potentially catch some words for what I'm about to say, and that's fine. But for those of you who don't want to hear it, now's your chance to tune out. This movie and Cronenberg are completely overrated. Like, you go away with both of them. I don't care. This movie was horrendously bad.
What are you talking about, dude? Like
what? I'm talking about everything from costuming to the effects were decent. So I'll give that. But everything felt like they were trying to be so far over the top and just go shock value for shock value's sake that I was completely disinterested. 100%. From the moment the film basically started, I was like, I do not see these two working out in any fashion whatsoever. Even if this was a romantic comedy, I would nope.
And it doesn't work out. It's a tragic tale. It's not a tale of joy and it's a tale of woe.
But make it more tragic by making the couple believable.
Nice. So, two Los Angeles folks. So Angel is from Los Angeles or LS Angeles, but I assume that means Los Angeles. And Alt is from Anaheim. So that's awesome. I used to live in NorCal in San Francisco area, the Bay Area, if you will, San Rafael. Now we're just up here in the good old Oregon. Good old Oregon. Monkish WIKK is actually a native-born Oregonian. Born here.
Yep.
Not me. So you think he's overrated? You think the movie is slow and boring with no charisma?
Pretty much, yeah.
So I disagree on all accounts. I do agree that Cronenberg has been saturated within the market, but that's only because he's been around for 35, 40 years. And so he's made a lot of things that people have emulated or have, basically been overdone. Basically, if it's made it to Rick and Morty, it's already, well into the zeitgeist and buried within our culture. And so Cronenberg is now a joke even. Like, that's what I mean. Like, he's even a joke.
Go back years before Rick and Morty. If it's made it to The Simpsons, it's already well established.
I agree. And The Fly was already in that. There's even, but like, okay, be afraid, be very afraid. That tagline is still used constantly in pop culture. Came from that movie, came from The Fly.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know that.
I'm not saying it hasn't had a long-lasting impression on what we consider entertainment. But what I'm saying is this film, when it comes down to it, is so not for me that I wouldn't recommend it to a single person out there.
Holy crap, I would recommend this film to everybody who wants to be traumatized at least once. So, as a person who has a decrepit body that is falling to pieces and is broken, and I'm too young to be getting old, and I don't mean that to be, facetious. I mean, literally, my body's at the point where it's a 60-year-old's body, but I'm 40, and that's not okay. So I relate to the Brundle character in the beginnings of his transformation, because he's basically going from a fully healthy individual who actually gets healthier in the beginning of his transformation and can do gymnastics and can do all sorts of crazy physical things, including breaking a dude's arm, and then starts to fall to pieces. And I'm at the stage where I'm falling to pieces, but yet in my 20s, I was strong and capable, and so I relate.
Well, you also got ran over by a car, basically, at one point. So
that's beside the point. He got integrated with a fly. Like, the dude genetically started to fall to pieces. And if you look at the metaphor for the film, there's actually two like running metaphors. One, and this is something Cronenberg said was never the thought for the film, but people have basically said that film is the metaphor for the AIDS epidemic in the 80s. Most people who figured out that they had AIDS, right? Most people, and I'm not joking, like, this is considered this broadly, okay? So being that the 80s, 86 specifically, the AIDS epidemic was in full swing, right? And people found out most times that they had AIDS by looking in the mirror and seeing the sores show up on their face and in their body. That was a very private moment. In fact, in reality, that's where a lot of people figure out they have cancer. I'm falling apart. So I'm falling apart because I have been hit by more than one car, and we could go, but what? You got hit by 10 different cars? Okay. Angel has the record for most cars running over a person in the chat. We might have to come up with a reward for that one. But yeah, no, it's more than that.
Like you're encouraging someone to go out and get hit by cars to try to claim a reward.
Oh, Angel, I know exactly what you're going through. I have my 5th vertebrae up here is actually got a chip fracture in it, and it has a slip disc, and I go numb and get dizzy and have all sorts of really ridiculous problems from it. There are some times where I can't even sit in a chair or lay down, depending on how things are going. So much respect for the nerve issues. Nothing quite like nerve issues. Speaking of falling apart, Jeff Goldblum, I think, does a fantastic job of showing what it's like to transform into a fly. You have to admit, his acting like he was turning into a fly was pretty good.
It was okay.
It was okay? Dude, he should have won an award for that. Like, the twitches and stuff he does are really on point. His weird voice.
I disagree that he should have won a award.
But you like Goldblum a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Like, a lot.
But, I mean, I like him, but I do not see him as an award-worthy actor.
You don't think he's an award-worthy? So have you seen his original stuff, like back in the 70s and whatnot?
You'd have to name some for me to know for sure, but I kind of doubt it.
Well, then you need to, like Buck Rogers. Anyway, you gotta go back and watch some of his early stuff. There's some really, really good stuff that he got things like The Fly because of his earliest work. Honestly, Jeff Goldblum is far more than just. His acting is the same in all movies. You're still confused because you didn't watch The Fly. You should watch The Fly at some point, even if you don't. Even if you take what Monkish is saying and run with it, I still think almost every movie is worth one view. Mostly because you can then make up your own mind about the film. You have to agree that that's true. People should watch the film and decide for themselves.
I mean, yeah.
Or find a critic that you like and agree with, and then listen to their advice.
And that's why they're here. They're listening to my advice.
They're listening to our advice.
I do not think it is important for everybody to watch every film one full time through. With this film, I made it like an hour and like 1 or 2 minutes in, and I stopped watching because I was bored for that entire time. I knew that the crescendo of the film was coming up,
and it's the best part of the film.
But engage me before then.
So so what it boils down to, and this is something I've totally learned, two totally opposite advices, but that means you can come in and are you a Mr. Snidbits or a Monkish WIKK, person? And that's kind of why we did this, because I want somebody that's not going to agree with me on every movie, because that would be freaking dull. Like, it'd be cool for a few movies, and there will be. When we get to some of the Marvel movies, it's more going to just be nerds talking nerd shit, because we're going to agree on most things, because most of those films, Monkish WIKK and I almost 100% agree on most of them. There are if you pick out about 5% of them, we have our arguments. But other than about that 5%, we both agree that Ant-Man and Wasp is pretty freaking stupid and boring. But we both think that Iron Man and the first Avengers, Endgame, are solid flicks. So we agree on these. So it gets less conflictive at that point. You love that we've seen most of what you watch or what you want to see. We are movie people. Like, I watch movies anyway. I figured, why not continue to do what I always did, which was talk about these things behind that counter. Like, I know we have the movie theater theme going on, but we're also old movie rental hounds, so we're trying to keep that spirit going.
Literally people who worked in movie rental stores, like,
for years.
Not just old movie rental hounds, but yeah, for years.
Right.
Giving people advice on films.
Right. So legitimately for years giving advice on films and video games, but then also taking those same movies home and watching them and critiquing them and coming back and talk to our coworkers and movies or customers about them. And I just figured it's fun to continue to do so. Okay, I just want to get you triggered. I dare you to watch Atlantic Rim. So it came up as a possibility, but at the same time, there's too many movies to waste too much time on intentional B-rated films for money grabs. Those films are ones that I agree with Monkish. There's no reason for people to watch those ones through. They are there to get you to watch them based upon what Pacific Rim was built for. It's hell for Pacific Rim fans. Exactly. It's basically like every trope, but done worse, and then a ripoff. It's kind of like Transmorphers. Remember when that came out in 2007? It was related to another movie that's actually got famous people in it. It's weird. I think it was like trans something or other.
To use the word related is like saying that, I am related to my stepfather. There's no actual relation there.
Right.
It's
just a word.
Who married his brother. And
right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a word that doesn't really mean what it says. Even Uprising did better. So that's how bad Atlantic Rim is. And I
hope that better. It's a shit film, but I would hope it did better.
But I get it. I get the want to get us to watch some pretty bad films. But we want to be able to also come on here and not just thrash a film. Because if we both just thrash a film and neither of us like it, it can get pretty dull. Last week is a good example. We sat here and just thrashed on Godzilla, and it wasn't the most exciting episode. The Clash, does better, I think.
To be fair, I also don't want to come in here hating the audience for making us watch horrible, horrible films.
Well, I'll never hate the audience for that. I'll just hate myself for agreeing to it. So going back to The Fly, I told you Cronenberg didn't really realize that was kind of the way people saw the motif, the concept of the film as the AIDS epidemic, but he did design the film for what it's like to grow old and disease. That's specifically what he was building the film out for. So as a person who's young, and for a person who is still clinging to being young and living young and hard and fast, a movie about death and disease isn't going to be your forte. But I promise you, when you're 60, you may watch this movie in a completely different way.
Oh, there's a chance that tomorrow I could watch this movie a completely different way.
It's just whatever affects you in life that's going to make you watch it that way. So I think it hit me harder because of the way I'm falling apart, like I said, and there's a family involved. I mean, if you guys haven't, the plot in Pacific Rim lost you at times. It's hard. We're back to movies from weeks ago. I love it. Asylum. Is Asylum one of the Jaegers? Am I missing something? Oh, you only liked the... Okay. I don't know. I didn't watch Uprising with anything other than just, let's have fun. And I did. So that's how I watched Tremors and had fun. So I figure I'll just try to treat, any sequels or potentially bad films with that approach, and I might have a good time. I've been getting that approach a lot better. I know Fry Guy was big on that. He just watches movies to enjoy them, and I've been trying to do that more. And it's hard because I do... Oh, Asylum is a movie studio. Okay, that makes those shitty rip-off films. Okay, I'll make sure to avoid Asylum films because they're just a money grab empire. Yay, good for them. I'd rather watch movies for art or for fun. I don't know how you feel about that, Monkish.
I mean, I would love to watch movies for art or for fun. One of the issues that I run into is again, you've said it, I've said it, I am such a cynical person when it comes to film and entertainment in general that I don't really know that I can 100% just watch a film for fun anymore.
You will critique it no matter what you do?
Yep.
But that seems sad. You're not just going to sit down and enjoy yourself. You're going to just be like, oh, it's a terrible trope, or oh, that acting was terrible.
Do you know how much I want the feeling of going to a theater with friends and just enjoying the film without, in my mind, tearing it apart? And then because a lot of my friends aren't like the super in-depth movie hounds, I just have to go, oh yeah, it was okay.
But that's why you're here, so that you don't have to just say that was okay. But they made Hornet, Sharknado, Transformers, Atlantic Rim, Titanic 2. The list goes on and on. None of those sound good, and I will not watch any of those.
Sharknado is ridiculous in the absolute, the idea that you literally just have to go, what's left?
No.
And what?
Yeah, exactly. Look, right there. That's what I'm talking about. What? Very real. He does.
So I love how stupid the Sharknado films are. They are so ridiculously outlandishly out there that it's just like, go for it. One of the things that I really enjoyed about the first Sharknado film is they talked about in production how fun it was to just over a 3-day period just flood an entire set and just watch all the shit that they had to build stuff. Sorry, I
you can say shit.
More.
Shit.
Okay, cool. Anyway, just watching all the stuff that they had built over all this time basically just slowly get washed away. I enjoy stuff like that because it's fun to see a production crew actually go, yeah, no, this is a lot of fun to do.
That's actually weird because it's kind of reminded me of Crawl, because Crawl had a lot of that as well. And we'll get to that because actually I'm kind of excited to talk about that. But there are some more things I want to talk about with The Fly. So as a kid growing up in the 80s, so I'm pre-Fly. We already talked about how I'm pre-biblical as well, but we'll get back to that another time. So I'm pre-Fly. And for me, I remember seeing Gremlins. And Gremlins was the movie that actually got me excited about horror because my experiences with horror before that were both A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original, which I still remember the bathtub scene and it still freaks me out, and then Friday the 13th Part 3, which made me throw up when I was 8 years old because of how violent it was. And it's funny because if you look back now, it's actually one of the least violent of the Friday the 13th films, so I'm glad I didn't see one of the other ones. You'll never forgive him for making you watch those movies. Says Bats McSkelly.
First of all, I didn't make you watch those movies. You watched the first movie with me. That's it.
I thought you mean you were watch like the first 3.
Nope.
What's up, Captain? Back again, I see. We're in the middle of talking about The Fly, and of course, Monkish WIKK is saying it's crap. Wes Craven's A New Nightmare was your first horror flick. Okay, then that's a pretty solid first horror flick because it was actually pretty good. But your first horror flick was a trope on. It was like a play on tropes on horror films, which is really interesting. It's like Cabin in the Woods being somebody's first horror film. I'd be like, weird, because for me, mine were some of the 80s classics, so I have this like really weird approach to horror. But that aside, Gremlins is the one that got me excited about horror.
Sure.
No, like it made me pee my pants, literally. When I, it felt like 3. She said. The Puppet Master was your first. Okay, that's definitely a classic and some freaky weird stuff, man. That's some weird stuff. You were playing chess with Freddy. You won, and he ripped your heart out, dude. That's a brutal nightmare, dude. And you beat him at chess. Wouldn't he have cheated?
Well, wouldn't him ripping your heart out be the ultimate cheat?
No, I know, but that's for like you won, so. Gross body horror underrated in a lot of ways. If we're talking about Jeff Sexy Rants Goldblum. So he actually, Monkish was talking about how he thinks there's no chemistry amongst the two characters, even though honestly they were dating at the time. The two actors were, and says Cronenberg is overrated. And again, I'm not trying to be, even if I have a little of that in my voice, Monkish, I don't mean it, but that Cronenberg is overrated, that Cronenberg has basically become old hat pretty quickly, and isn't as good a director as people claim. That is the Monkish WIKK stance. Now, conversely, my stance is that Cronenberg has some great commentary on society, this one being a great commentary on life and what it's like to, about hubris, really, if anything, and thinking that you can control things when you can't, because that's definitely something Brundle walks up against. And the fact that there are moments in this movie watch redo of She. Can you look that up, Monkish? I have no idea what that is. And you're traumatized. It's Gross Frankenstein. All your devices
all are in use. I don't have a way of looking up things currently.
Okay. So Captain says it's Gross Frankenstein, you guess. It is kind of Frankenstein, except in this way, Frankenstein becomes the monster. Morals is a big one because the Fly, there's a moment in the movie, and I really like the scene where he actually says, you ever heard of insect politics, he asks. And Gina Davis's character says no. And he's like, you got to know that insects don't have politics. They're brutal, they're savage, and they just do what needs to get done, essentially. That's not verbatim. And he says, I'd love to be the first insect politician. And you can tell that he's barely there anymore. At this point, he's not wearing clothes. His legs are already kind of bending back. Like he's just jacked. Oh yeah, no, I'll pass on that, Alt. That's not for me, honestly. You were forced to watch it? That doesn't sound okay. I would hope not like Clockwork Orange forced. There was more like a, no, please sit down and watch this coercion kind of a thing, but even that's not okay. That's no thanks. Serious passing. Anyway, so the insect politician part for me is a huge thing because he basically knows his own humanity is falling to pieces and he's just about to no longer be human. And he even turns to her and says, if you stay here, I'll hurt you. And I don't know, maybe for me, their relationship connects because if she's as in love as I see her being with him, if I got to that point with my wife and had to just be like, you need to get out of here or I'm going to hurt you, that would be heartbreaking. And to me, that's what happens. I empathize with the characters when I watch movies like this and I put myself in their shoes. That's usually why I feel the most sick with movies like this because, dude, not much about this is good for anyone at the end of this film.
Are you bouncing your leg over there?
A little bit.
Okay. Something on your desk is rocking horribly, and that's like almost all I can hear.
Okay, I'll stop having my hand on my desk. So there you go. So I don't know. There's some great lines. You know, the insect politician line is great. He goes into the ethics portion, as I think Captain was alluding to. It's a huge ethical thing. Like, is this right? Is it wrong? And then the fact that they made a sequel is weird, especially since like she got pregnant. She got pregnant, dude. Oh my god, baby flies. That's gross. That's disgusting.
Yep. Don't care enough to watch it.
Oh, there's a part when I wiggle, my chair makes a noise. Are you hearing it right now?
This is like a knocking sound that I'm hearing.
Huh. Doesn't matter. So, I'll try to figure that out. I bounce my leg a lot because, well, I drink a lot of coffee and I have undiagnosed disorders that I'm certain are contributing to my weirdness. So you never saw part 2. I would actually say, okay, weirdly enough, it's not what you expect, and it's better than I expected it to be. I remember watching that one and going, interesting. It's not as gross, but the story is similar and has, I mean, it's basically like, if you know the Hulk story at all, Incredible Hulk, if you get into the Scar portion of Incredible Hulk, it's very similar to that, where Daddy's not around and Daddy was a monster, and that's hard for people to deal with because how would you deal with your dad being a monster? And I don't know. I've never looked at a sick, disgusting fly, half man, half creature, and felt bad for it. And I think that's what this movie did a good job of, is making you go,
how many times have you looked at a disgusting half man, half fly creature?
well, I've seen this movie like 20 times, so 20 times.
Okay.
Anyway, the fact that they made it have puppy dog eyes was, I think, genius, because it made me go, oh. She okay? Okay, she's okay. I heard my baby coughing and I was going to run out there. So there's a lot of humanity in the movie The Fly. And I know you don't appreciate the film for what it is, and I get that. But for myself, I really, really dig this film. It's still gross. It's still hard to watch for those reasons, because the animation or the special effects is still on point, because it's practical effects, not digital effects at all. Even him walking on the ceiling is a flipped over set so that it looks right.
Like I said, the effects
sympathizing for a fly, you never.
I'm not complaining about the effects in that film. Just every other part of that film. Just
every other bit. So there's a couple of trivia things here I have for The Fly. So let me pull these up real quick. There's some pretty brutal scenes, you agree, in the film, especially when he tries to transport the baboon and it becomes a pile of mush. You know, that's they've run that trope into the ground since The Fly came out. I agree. Sequels are not usually great, and there's only a handful of sequels that do better, and remakes are the same way. That's why The Fly to me is amazing, because on par with remakes, it's probably one of the best remakes ever made, because it actually does a good job of keeping to the similar material, but it turns it on its head completely. That's why I like that it was a Cronenberg film, but that's just me. Okay, so... Oh, that's right. So Jeff Goldblum on set had to work directly with a baboon. And they always say in film and television that there are two groups of people, two groups you should never work with. And that's children and animals, because they are a nightmare to work with. And yet he had to work with a baboon. It's not just an animal, but it's still what they consider a wild animal that will never, ever be chill. But they said the trainer and Jeff Goldblum managed to figure it out, because Jeff Goldblum's 6'4" and the baboon was afraid of him. So the baboon actually stayed in line and didn't do anything out of line. Even when he'd like go over to Gina Davis, Jeff Goldblum would just move in front and stop the baboon. And there's a moment when the baboon jumps into Jeff Goldblum's arms, and you can see visibly on screen on the shot that Gina Davis like jumps back because she's legitimately scared in that moment, not just for her character. So some pretty interesting stuff that they don't do on sets so much anymore. Like I don't think they're running around with baboons. Here's another one. It's a Mel Brooks production.
Sure.
It is. No, he's actually one of the big executive producers, and he's one of the reasons the movie got made in the first place. And he told everybody, he was like, yo, guys, do not put my name on this movie. Not because he didn't think it would do well, because it did successful. It did really well.
But it's not.
But it's not a Mel Brooks film. And so he was afraid that his name would make people go, oh, it's going to be funny. And then they go watch it and go, oh, shit, that is not Mel Brooks. So he's got a few other movies he's produced like that. That are just kind of silently him. And then let's see, there were a ton of different people that were supposed to be in this movie instead of Jeff Goldblum, and it wasn't him. I don't remember if I have the list of people, but it was a really ridiculous number of people. But like everybody from John Lithgow to what's his name? Willem Dafoe, folks like that, and they were either turned down the role. Mel Gibson was up for the role. Could you imagine The Fly with Mel Gibson? That would be so not okay.
I mean, it was already not okay for me, so it would have been an upgrade.
Greatest scene ever was when Lou Ferrigno fought the bear in the Hulk TV show. Interesting. I haven't seen the old TV show in a long, long time, but I will have to look into that. Oh, here's one. Okay, this was interesting since we were already talking about Mel Brooks and The Fly. So Mel Brooks actually won a production award for the Academy Awards Best Achievement in Makeup. The production company did. And it's funny because just a few years earlier, this award didn't even exist. And in the movie The Elephant Man, which is another one that Mel Brooks produced, but kept his name off of for the most part, because it's a very serious movie with Anthony Hopkins about a man with elephantitis. And that movie didn't win any awards because there was no category for best special effects. So they created the category because of The Elephant Man, and then he turned around and won the award for The Fly because they made the award for his category. This is the weirdest little thing, but he won the award they created for him, if that makes sense.
I mean, to be honest, though, I would take that as he actually won the award twice.
Right, because they created it. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, which is really neat. I thought that was really cool. And Mel Brooks has always been one of my favorites, so it's great to learn more about him. But so overall, let's see. The other fun one, and you remember Pedro, right? Pedro.
Yeah.
So because he works for Ducati over in Italy, I had to pick this little snippet, which I thought was great. But apparently the telepods in this movie, which originally in the first movie were kind of more like translucent, like weird see-through things. And then they basically made these ones into phone booths in the first part of this production. And Cronenberg was like, nah, like these can't look like phone booths. That doesn't work. And basically he said they need to look like something else. And he walked into his garage one day and had his old Ducati in there and looked at the cylinder for the engine and said, there it is. So he just turned that over and made a giant version of the cylinder from his Ducati. And those are the pods. And that's how props in movies work. Like that's a lot of stuff in movies is from that kind of stuff, which I always find really, really interesting. But, you know, not everybody does, but I do. I like that kind of stuff. So why don't we go ahead and see if there's anything else that Monkish WIKK has to say about this film.
I mean, my final thoughts on it are don't bother.
Even though it's a classic?
Even though it's a classic, I mean, not just because it has the word classic on it doesn't mean that everybody's going to think it's good.
Oh, I agree with that. No, you're right.
I don't think it's good.
And you're right. But the reason it's a classic is because a huge majority of people thought it was good.
Sure.
That's why we give things classic. That's why classic cars, classic songs, classic movies, cult classic movies are ones that don't do well until later. But when something does really, really well in the theater and everybody loves it, it's an instant classic. Classic doesn't mean old.
Yep. But again, though, in my opinion, I say don't bother.
Fair enough. So give it a rating. Give it the 1 to 10.
It's a 2 out of 10 for me.
2 out of 10, and we've got Angel giving it a 5 out of 10. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10, and it's because if the gross factor was lower, which by the way, the gross factor on this is a 10, and I'd say the freak out factor is a little high for me too. I'd say it's probably 7, just because of the falling apart part. But I'm going to give it an 8 because I don't think I could say that I would watch it all the time. 0 out of 10 didn't watch it.
Confusion.
And that's okay. Maybe this will make you watch some of these movies, and you'll get to check them out as you get into your movie watching. And you can go back and see what we said and be like, oh, that's right. I thought Monkish was spot on. Wow, That's why we're doing this. If you go and watch The Fly and you hate it, then you're probably going to agree with Monkish WIKK on these things. But if you come back and you're like, I really liked it,
most people are not going to agree with me on this film. I know that.
Right. No, and I'm glad you can see that, because that's how I feel too. There are movies where people are like, that movie was shit, universally shit, and I'm like, I don't care, I love it. So it's the same thing, but in reverse. But like, I get it. And there's movies that I think that people love. They love them, and I'm like, why? And I try not to say some of those because they get me into trouble because people don't like it. Confusion. This next movie, I saw the trailers and saw a few clips, but didn't like the trailer. You're talking about Crawl? Because I'll be honest, I wasn't going to watch Crawl. I had no reason to watch Crawl. Jesse gives it a 7 out of 10. Loved how creepy it was, but just a little slow. I want to address that before we move on. I love movies with slow burn. For me, if there's a good payoff at the end of a slow burn film, that payoff feels a little stronger with a slow burn than it does with a film that just gets right to it. So don't get me wrong. I love my roller coaster movies, but they're always moving, right? They're boom, 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 boom. They never slow down. There's never a time for breath or taking in some scenery, which slower films give you a little bit of a chance to take in the scenery. Movies like Star Wars, the original. Movies like 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's a lot of visuals to just take in. Time to think about what you're seeing. I get that some people don't like that, and I get that ADD is a real thing, and a lot of people have it. So slow burn movies aren't for everybody. But without the slow burn, I don't think you get that big payoff at the end.
I am totally fine with slow burn films, but you have to give me a reason to like the characters, to care about the characters in any way. It's the same reason that I did not care for the film Bird Box. I didn't feel anything for the characters. Plain and simple.
But you're also not a parent.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, just being a parent, it alters that. I didn't think it would, dude. I really didn't. But being a parent alters that so rapidly.
That's an experience I will never have because I'm not going to be a parent.
Angel didn't like The Fly either. Are you hearing that? So love Jeff, love Gina, but The Fly didn't do it for him. And I get that. And they're both amazing actors in their own right, in their own ways. And then Angel loves Space Odyssey, solid 10, no weight 11. But I think Monkish WIKK is not a big fan of the Space Odyssey film. Or have you seen it as an adult? Because again,
I have seen the first 10 minutes of that film. That's it.
It's a good 10 minutes.
It was
that movie gets weird and it does not have explanations. It's meant for you to decide for yourself. And I love movies like that. Movies that let me decide the ending or give me a nice ending. That's why The Fly, I think, has a really solid ending. Actually, all three of the movies this week, I think, have good endings. I'm a big endings person. I should probably start putting that on all of our reviews, because for me, a movie with a really good story and character driven and this and that with a shit ending, I walk away. I don't care. It would have to be an amazing movie for the ending to be shitty and for me to still watch it. That's just me. You can have a crap beginning. You can have a crap middle. Gotta have a good ending. What do you think? What's your favorite part of a movie? Act 1, 2, or 3?
It really depends on what happens in any one of those acts.
But okay, if one of those is spoiled, which one would be the most important to you? If Act 1 was spoiled, can you still watch the movie?
I do not want the end of the film spoiled.
No, but I mean, like, if it's shit. So, like, if the movie's shit up to the end, but the end is good, you can consider that a better movie generally than if the whole movie is shit and then has a great ending.
No, okay, so I think my review of The Fly already says that I can't enjoy a movie because the ending is better than the rest of the film, because I turned off the fly before even getting to the ending of the film.
It all depends, Angel says. Uh-oh, you froze.
To me, if you do not pull me in the beginning of the film, give me characters that I can actually have some type of care for, you're going to 100% lose me. So I guess realistically, by the question you're asking, the beginning of the film has to be good for me to actually be intrigued enough to watch through the rest of it.
Sounds like Act 2, though, for you more than anything, because I've seen you most of the time when you quit a movie, it's usually an hour in or a little more, because you want to see how Act 1 plays out into Act 2. And if Act 2 doesn't grab you and doesn't play out in the way you expected or wanted, you're done.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter how they finish it. If they didn't do it in the middle, right, screw it. I mean, that's just from knowing you for as long as I have and just trying to think about it. Angel says, as a whole, that's how I see film. If I don't watch the whole thing, I feel like I'm not doing it a service to at least finish the story. Kind of like racing a race, and you only race 2 out of 4 laps, and then you go, well, I might have won. Do you know, though? No. It's an assumption. And the assumption is you think, based upon how you were feeling in the middle of the film, what will happen or how you'll feel at the end. And I've seen movies change me halfway through, but I've also seen my mood. Like we talked about this before, the mood for the day will definitely determine whether I'm in the mood for that movie or whether I'll like it.
Oh yeah,
which is weird, but true, but very true.
And I'm not gonna lie, my love or hate for a film has been affected by my level of hunger at the time that I watched it.
The Crawl trailer was just good enough for my soul to exit my body. So we will get to Crawl here in just a minute, because I do want to talk about that movie, because I was pleasantly surprised. But I do need to take a pit stop. But I'm going to leave the feed rolling and let you guys talk to Monkish WIKK.
I also need to utilize the facilities at this moment.
Okay, well, we'll put up our Be Right Back, so everybody hang out for just a minute, and we will literally be right back. 3 minutes, probably. Be right back.
Roughly, yeah.
You know what we've done? You know what we've done, gang? We've defied all the laws of nature. That's just... You know what we've done, gang? We've defied all the laws of nature. That's the
Hey everybody, we're back. Thank you for the patience while we took just a quick little break there, and we're back to the movie wall here, if you will. And these are the movies we're reviewing this week, plus the big preview of the one we're reviewing next week. And we're going to have that as a feature. You'll see the movies that we're going to be reviewing in the future there in that reviewing soon spot down below. Unless, like next week, we're doing 4 films, so it's going to take up the whole board, but that's okay. I also think, Jesse, that we could put the some of those cartoon characters on here, kind of fill in the empty space, because that could be fun. But we'll see how that goes. Definitely in the theater, which we can actually move over to now. Didn't you say there were some movies coming out on streaming services that we could talk about?
I mean, as I was going over the list with you, you know that there's a lot of things coming out to streaming services over the next week. But there. Ooh, sorry, also my phone was vibrating like crazy.
I was like, what was that?
Yeah, just suddenly Instagram was just popping off for some reason. It was actually kind of a challenge to look at the stuff that was coming out and actually like sort out the stuff that, you know, realistically is just kind of the garbage stuff that's added every month to streaming services.
And on all of the streaming services, we noticed, like all of them.
Yeah.
Like, you want to watch this movie? Just go to a streaming service, and there's like 40 of these films, and they're not bad, but they were like good when they came out, or they were okay when they came out, and now it's like, if you were in the mood, I guess.
Well, I mean,
if it was on TV and you didn't have other movies to watch,
yeah, exactly,
you might watch one of these. To answer your question, we cannot stream movies. I will not be streaming movies ever, because that is a copyright infringement, and I do not want to get my channel shut down for breaking copyright. We are a review show, which means that we can talk about them. We can show a little bit of clips, but really, unfortunately, limited. Even on a 3-hour show, we can't show more than 30 seconds of the film without getting dinged for copyright. Don't get me wrong. I would love to do, right here, Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of thing, where, you see our characters, but you hear our voices, and we speak up every once in a while, or pause the movie and talk. I would love that. But that is something that is not going to happen in our current system, like, ever.
We would have to pay for the rights to show the film. Yeah,
so that's going to be a minimum of like $20,000 for just about any film. And that's not an exaggeration.
My account has never been gone that high.
Yeah, so like and Godzilla vs. King Kong, to have the rights to broadcast that, I guarantee it's going to be higher. It's going to be 6 figures. because you're talking about AMC or other theaters, they pay for the rights to those movies. They actually pay for the movies. That's why they charge for the tickets, and they don't make anything on Discord. So that's
still a copyright situation though.
right,
still...
because we'd be watching it. I mean, it's tricky. So like Discord's a little different because it's a private channel, although my Discord is wide open. So since it's wide open to the public, that puts it in an HDCP, if you will, category where we would have digital copyright protection problems. So like stream it on Discord on HBO Max. So that's what I'm saying. Like by streaming HBO Max on Discord, I would be putting myself at risk. Besides which, now we're talking about it live on a stream.
I will also say, if people so badly want to watch the film, they do offer a free week trial to HBO Max.
Agreed.
Anytime you sign up for it, and I believe it's only $8 a month for the service, right, roughly.
But if it's a free 2 weeks, you just do it this week and boom, watch the flick,
right.
Watch the other three.
Yes, again, we would love to sit down and watch this film with everybody in some streaming fashion, but unfortunately, the risk of us getting our asses sued is way too high.
Do you have a debit card? Because that's all you need. You don't actually have to have a credit card. Just has to have the Visa symbol on it somewhere. What about a friend who has it? Yeah, exactly, Salty. So I've had my own music as well dinged on this channel. Like I upload these to YouTube and I got dinged for my own music. All the music you hear on this channel is stuff that I wrote. And yet I got a copyright infringement. I thought that was really weird. And I know that Captain Salty Dog's been through the exact same thing. And so if I got dinged for that on my own music, how fast are they going to ding me for Godzilla? Even in Discord, which is, like I said, it doesn't seem like it's open to the public, but it is. So if somebody wanted to go in there and take a look at what we were doing, they could do that. And since we would have to be in a channel together, I don't know, it gets tricky. And I've just never been I don't illegally download movies either. I pay for my movies. Mostly because I don't want to get dinged. Not that I think that it's political in any way, shape, or form. It's just the way that I approach it. Mostly because I think if I was making movies, I would hope that people would help me out, and not just. Can't you mute the movie or put in earbuds?
So we could stream the films ourselves while actually posting a stream while we are not showing any of the film or having any of it, any of the audio leak out.
Correct.
That is something we do, but then you're just watching us for our reactions to what's happening in the moment. And if that's what you're talking about, then that's something we could potentially discuss. But we cannot show any of the film or have any of the audio over 30 seconds in a stream.
No, and we see your point. That is a good approach, and we're not opposed to that. We were even talking about that for Monkish, because he said that he, was traumatized as a child for watching The Sixth Sense, and said that he would not watch it again for any reason other than if we got to 30 subscriptions on this channel. So if we can get to 30 subs, we'll do that, and then he will live stream on this channel. I'll be here too, and we will watch his reactions live for that film. And I'll just commentary on what part he's on. So there's that. So we were already talking about doing it with one film. As far as Godzilla versus King Kong, it would take some coordination, and we'd have to do it like on a Wednesday night when it comes out.
See, and I'm also supposed to be on Wednesday night over at a friend's house watching it with them.
Right. So we would have to do secondary reactions.
Right. And the secondary reactions aren't going to be as good as the primary.
Especially with Monkish WIKK, because you won't get the.
You won't get that, or you won't get the oh wow, which I highly doubt will come from this. But we will see.
He's got 5 or 6 faces he'll make, and I think 5 of the 6 are negative.
I can guarantee most of the movie I'm going to sit there doing this.
There you go. Alt says you should record your reactions and post it on TikTok or YouTube. I agree. So I think that we could arrange that. I will make sure that my TikTok is open, and I will do a 60-second video of my general reactions. of Godzilla vs Kong on Wednesday when I do it. And Monkish, all you got to do, I'll show you before Wednesday. You could just do a quick little TikTok.
I can tell you I will not be doing anything TikTok related, considering the people I will be around.
Will they make TikTok hard for you?
They would make it extremely difficult.
Oh, dude, if I put the chat up in the screen, it looks like credits. Oh, that's fantastic. Anyway.
Yep.
I'm just moving this down because it was getting pretty big and hard to see. So there we go. Moving that down. So why don't we move on to Crawl then? We've talked a little bit about how to stream movies together and talk about them, because ultimately, don't get me wrong, Netflix had a cool feature back in the day, and Monkish and I used to actually watch movies this way, where you could stream a movie together and watch on the same screen in the same time. It was beautiful. And then Netflix got big and took it away. And now Disney offers it, and it sucks because it doesn't work. And
I've never had an issue with it.
Disney streams the way you share stream.
I've literally never had an issue with it. I do it all the time.
With who? With Sis?
No,
with friends?
With Zach.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know you could do that. Well, you guys have different accounts, right?
No, we're both actually using his account.
Okay, now I'm really confused. Okay, so there are ways to do that kind of stuff for Disney, but HBO doesn't have it. I wish they would. That'd be pretty dope if they did have it, because then we could all just get together and hang out and do that and have a Discord going.
You can go to that then allow you to stream things together like that, but I don't know that I 100% trust them.
Well, no, but you know, I don't know. Why don't we move on to Godzilla? Not Godzilla. That's next week. Why don't we move back over to the just chatting here? We'll get to talking about the movie Crawl. We got about 35 minutes to talk about this movie. That sounds about the right amount of time for this flick. It's not overly complicated, but it is a movie that Monkish WIKK specifically requested that we watch this week. This was his first selection for the Bits and WIKK show, so we had to honor that selection. And I went into it not sure what to think. But let's hear what Monkish WIKK thinks first.
So I actually fully disagree that we should hear what I think first. I'm already a fan of it. I want to know what your initial impressions. I've seen this movie probably 30 times. I want to know what your impressions were before I get into my spiel about it.
Okay, so right away, the movie starts out and I'm bored because I don't care. Right? I don't care. And immediately I'm like, Apex Predator? Really? We're going to go with that as our saying for this film? Great job, guys. Great job. It's a fun one. So that started to annoy me. But then I let the movie unravel a little bit. And of course, these tropes are perfectly placed. She's a swimmer and there's alligators in the movie. Put it together yourself. Like, you don't need to, like, just start piecing things together.
Her swim team is called the Gators, by the way.
I didn't even put that together. And they're in Florida, so that makes perfect sense. Of course they'd be called the Gators. Crawl trailer made you pee almost 8 times. So if you're not a fan of alligators and you don't like the real type animal attack type movies, this one's not far-fetched. That's the thing about it. Like, I was actually pleasantly surprised with the sheer possibility that this might happen to a particular family if they were in this particular situation. This could happen to people, is what I'm saying. This isn't like Jaws, isn't like other, like, I started to go, okay. I mean, other than some of the over the top tropes, which made me groan hard because they didn't feel like they belonged in this film. This film was trying to be real, and then occasionally it'd be like, and look at this really lame horror trope. I'm like, what the shit? and it again, Alt, if you don't like alligators, they're going to scare you. Then the trailers are going to scare you. Most movies about things that are unknown are the ones that scare me because my mind likes to race away with those kinds of stories. But I don't always get scared by them. But things like The Blair Witch or what's that one with the movie recordings and Ethan Hawke and
Talking about
You froze in full derp face, dude.
say what?
You froze in full derp face.
I'm seeing that now on the stream.
Yeah.
Was that Insidious?
Insidious. That's the one. That creeped me out because the thing is an unknown. Not Insidious. It's not Insidious. No, it starts with a B or a D. It's a round letter.
I don't know. Bats could probably tell us immediately.
But she may not be listening anymore. She's been dealing with the cranky baby, so
Yeah.
she may not be able to. But anyway,
it's the one where you find the reels in the attic type thing.
Yeah. And the movie itself is like creepy. It's not the Babadook.
I did not think that movie was creepy. I thought that movie was so ridiculously slow and so boring. And
our minds work very differently. This is why There Will Be Blood is one of my all-time favorite films, and yet most people I talk to are like, that is boring. For me, I'm literally gripped the edge of my seat watching that film all the way through. Like literally. The question was, what is the name of the movie with Ethan Hawke and the movie tapes with the kids? The like creepy attic film where they move in the murders, blah, blah, blah. Hanging from the trees, all that nonsense. I forgot the name of that movie. It has a sequel. Oh, I remembered. It's Sinister. Sinister.
It's got more than one sequel.
I thought it only was Sinister and Sinister 2.
I think they got 3 films on it.
I don't know. I know there's 2 for sure, but I don't know about a third one. I do know that for myself, that's what I mean. So when people ask, and we talked about this before, when watching horror movies like Crawl, did Crawl get to me? Yeah. The reason Crawl got to me is because it's real enough and there are alligators. Okay. So that's why those kinds of movies get to me. Movies like even The Revenant, which is not a horror film, but the bear attack scene in that movie is epic. It is realistic and just makes my skin crawl because it makes me feel like, what would it be like to be attacked by a bear? Well, this movie, I don't want to go to Florida. I already didn't want to go to Florida, but this makes me want to not go to Florida into the Everglades. Like, I don't want to go where there's alligators because of this. And that's unfair to alligators because, damn it, they're probably not all like that. They're probably as afraid of us as we are of them, blah, blah, blah.
This is also not a fair representation of what an alligator actually is for these films.
No. But again, okay, so to be fair for this film, I'm going to give it a lot of due credit. They give a good reason. So the alligators being in the house, not a problem, right? That's not an issue. The alligators getting really aggressive, that's the part I didn't like. But in the movie, they give a really good reason for it. A really good reason.
Yes. Yep.
And the reason is so good, I can't deny that this might happen. This vendetta could go down that way. I think it might. Not only that, but you're talking about this happening during a hurricane, and no animal feels normal during a hurricane, and it includes humans. We're all whacked out during storms and things like that. So that would apply to alligators just as much. So the acting in this movie was okay. That lacked a little in parts. Barry Pepper, I like Barry Pepper. This movie got emotional for me at one moment, but I also have personal issues when it comes to dad, moments in movies, and it really effed me up for about 5 minutes. I actually had to shut the movie off for a minute because I don't do well with dead dads in movies. I would hope that's an obvious thing for obvious reasons.
This is also kind of a thing to throw up a spoiler about, though, by the way.
Oh no, I'm not saying, I'm just saying that, one of the side characters has a dead dad. It's just, it's really not a big part of the plot.
Still, if it's big enough for you to mention it, it's big enough for you to throw up a spoiler warning on it.
I don't have the spoiler warning. I told you it's for next week. So
you used it last week, but you don't have it this week, but you're going to have it next week.
I deleted it because I'm trying to get the new one for the Bits and WIKK logo, which I hope you guys like the new logo. There are spoilers, sorry, but that's not a spoiler. It is and it isn't. Enjoy. So,
okay,
we're going to move on from my blunder. We're all allowed one. Moving on. So, I'm just saying it effed me up. So, what I'm basically saying is if you have daddy issues like I do, be careful. be careful with movies like this, because it's one of those movies you don't expect that kind of thing. It's just a movie about alligators, man. Like, I didn't expect to get all tearful, but that's just the way life is after that. So what about the special effects? What do you think of the special effects in this movie?
I think the special effects, what we're going to see from this film is these special effects looked really, really decent. Like, and when I say decent, I don't mean, oh, they were bad or they weren't good. Sorry. Our sister, not my younger sister, just texted me saying that my facial expressions are cracking her up on this stream. So,
oh, is she watching?
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for tuning in.
Sis is watching. Hi, sis. Wow, now I feel all kind of on the spot and red.
That's fantastic.
Why is it when strangers are watching, I'm like, what's up, guys? But then, like, when people we know are watching, I'm like, oh, God, I'm going to hide my face now. What is that? There she is. She's in the chat.
Sorry, I just wasn't expecting that text message because I forgot that she said she was going to try to tune in.
Welcome.
Anyway,
Thank you.
Anyway, the effects, when I say that they are decent, I don't mean that they are bad. I don't mean they're great. They're pretty much in the in-between. And here in a couple of years, we're going to look back on this film and go, wow, those effects have not aged well.
No,
Because
effects that are digital never age well.
Right. But they already, like, this film came out in 2019, which means it was filmed in, 2017. There's all the stuff that happened with it in production and all that stuff too. But the digital effects that they put on it already, just a couple of years down the road, are not looking the greatest. So what I want to do is go back and watch this in like another 10 years and see where these effects really stand, because they're not going to be pretty.
No, they're not. Alt, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for saying hello. Thank you for all the interactions and the fun. We enjoy you being here. So sleep well, have fun at school, learn a lot.
Have a good night, all. And
yeah, I agree. Special effects, man. If they aren't practical, they're not going to survive. It's just the way it is. You can look at any movie with digital effects.
What I love though is the house and everything about the whole like neighborhood that this is in. It was all built in a tank, so all the effects with the water, everything is practical effects. They literally flooded this small town that they created for this film over.
It felt like that.
Yeah.
It felt like they had about a half a block where they built it up and then covered it up and flooded it with water. So there's one of the tropes in this frickin' movie that drives me nuts is the water. And I think I told you about this one yesterday. There are moments in this movie where all of a sudden the water goes up 6 feet. And I understand that the levees broke. I understand all that stuff. They talk about that. But honestly, there are moments where I'm like, that is plot water right there. They're just saying hi.
Yeah, I mean,
it's plot water.
Is definitely, if you look at any film where a flood or any type of, like anything involving water is going to be a thing, it's all going to be plot water, because it's all going to be related to how the characters are feeling and handling the situation.
I agree, but they can at least deal. Okay, so when you're going up a flight of stairs, the water wouldn't fill from one floor to the next in the amount of time it takes you to climb the stairs.
It depends on how much water there is out there.
Not all of a sudden. Water doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I mean, maybe multiple doors were open. You don't know.
Multiple doors that had blown through every window and door of the entire house. They went in that. Okay, anyway. So if you like water and you like a lot of it, watch Crawl. There's a lot of water in that movie. I'd say there's more water in that movie than in a lot of movies. Not Waterworld.
Or Deep Blue Sea.
Or Hard Rain.
So what you're saying is, of all the films that have water, this actually has some of the least amount of water in it.
There's more blood in the Evil Dead series than there is water in this movie.
So what point are you trying to make?
Not trying to make a point. I'm just being weird. No, there's a lot of water in this movie. The water is supposed to be a character in a sense in this movie, and it doesn't work for me as a character. The water has.
I'd say the water is almost more of a framing device rather than a character.
No, because it actually becomes the antagonist, the second antagonist.
I mean, just as much as environment in any film becomes an antagonist.
Yeah, but water is different than most antagonists in nature. I mean, really, if you think about it, fire's one hell of a antagonist in film or in nature, but water's, I think, second to fire in that it's not like a landslide where it's just going to go boom and stop. Water will keep going until it finds the ocean, essentially, or finds a reservoir, which is not good either. I don't know. It feels like an actual character in this movie, but just not a well-developed one.
Well, I mean, again, it's water, so I can see how when we're trying to tell a story about, you know, killer animals, that water wouldn't get the development that it, you know, potentially would if you were telling a story about water.
Okay, so why do you like this movie so much?
Okay, so I will admit, because I rented this movie to watch it for the very first time, because I did not get to see it in theaters. I was bored for the first 10-15 minutes of this film.
It's about right.
Because it's a very slow setup. It doesn't give you any real reason to be intrigued. But for the sheer fact that I spent money on this film, I said, nope, I'm watching it the whole way through.
See, that's why. So had you spent money on The Fly, would you finished it?
No, I wouldn't have.
Cynical.
I have a strange love for movies about animals that attack people.
Like flies.
No, but that's a fly thing. I'm never gonna like it. No, I love the movies where it's like, oh, these poisonous snakes invade this small, you know, town in, you know, so and so whatever place. Eight-Legged Freaks is a movie I absolutely adore, even though it's terrible.
But those are giant fake spiders. Not even like.
They don't have to be real.
But they're so fake. They're so fake.
I understand, but I still really enjoy the whole process of the film. It's completely insane and totally just out there, but I enjoy it. This has a little bit more of a real approach to it, but I found myself in this strangely actually kind of rooting for the alligators. You know, I was like, yeah, it'll be great to see this happen.
What the humans do to deserve that?
I mean, isn't being human enough?
Nope.
Like,
they're good humans.
Isn't it kind of our bad for building whole cities underneath like water levels?
Both of your sisters have come on here and called you out about Sharknado.
So much to both of my.
That's great. Oh, that's
fantastic.
Great. Oh, that's.
I can't lie.
Love it.
Like everybody's got their guilty pleasures. My guilty pleasure is animal attack films.
I know, and you especially if they come in the form of a tornado.
Hey, if you want to throw kangaroos in a tornado, I'll probably watch it.
Kangaroo-nado. What, dude? They come flying with punches and kicks out of that tornado. That's worse than, I don't know, maybe tarantula tornado.
No.
No. Anaconda tornado.
Tarantula tornado, I think, is maybe the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. That shit scares the shit out of me because that one sounds more like it could be a possibility.
Yeah, except they wouldn't hurt you. They don't really hurt you.
I don't care. It's still a giant 8-legged creature flying through the air at me. That's nope.
Okay, so let's try this one more time. Had it been called The Arachnid with Jeff Goldblum,
then I would have been really confused when he turns into a damn fly.
He would have turned into a spider. Let's get that clear. The effects wouldn't have had to change much.
Yeah, but so again, on the whole, like, it's overrated. that's going to be like, that is the movie that it is. I can't say what my thought process would have been had it been The Arachnid.
What if it was called The Arachnid and it starred Schwarzenegger as the Arachnid?
Again, I don't.
Sharon Stone would play the reporter.
Okay, I'm done with this conversation. Let's move on.
I'm just taking the cast of Total Recall and moving it over. Did you know that Total Recall was supposed to be directed by David Cronenberg and was not?
Probably better off for it. Did you know that Tarantino named Crawl his 2019 Film of the Year pick?
Like, as a joke, right?
No, like he loves this movie so much. He said it is the best film made in 2019.
No.
Yep.
I don't agree with that for any reason.
I wholly do not agree with it either. I just think it's a great bit of trivia. Like, Tarantino says Crawl is the best movie made in 2019.
I mean, didn't he release Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 2019?
Was that 2019 or was that 2020?
I think it was 2019.
I don't know. I thought it was early 2020, but...
Well, of course, we have that IMDb we could look it up on, but, I digress. So, with the movie Crawl, I unfortunately, there's not enough to talk about because it's mostly dialogue-free and like, oh, swim over there, do this kind of film. There's not a lot of meat and bones. There's a lot of meat and bones. So, really, without just giving away straight-up plot points, we're going to get stuck not talking about things without just basically revealing how everything ends up.
I mean, realistically, if we were to give a synopsis of this film, or even just a general, like, this film to me has everything from from child-parent interactions, both in the positive and negative light, to slightly to moderately suspenseful, horrific moments of fight for your life, gnashing teeth, claws, scales, holding your breath. It's got everything that I personally feel that I need from a survival horror against the elements and nature type of film. I don't think it really is hurt by the fact that there's not a ton of dialogue in it. I realistically feel that the film could have actually had pretty much the same exact impact had they...
You froze again.
This movie. I just thought that the ending could have been a little bit better.
I loved the ending of this movie.
I know that you love the ending in this movie, but I think that they could have left the ending on a little bit more of a cliffhanger-y type.
Why would you cliffhanger a movie that's a good swift three act flick? 3 acts.
Because
you set up the characters, you set up the dilemma, and you deliver on the dilemma, and there it is. There's no need for anything other than resolution at the end of a film like that.
So, because then, once it comes down to it, where here in a couple of years, when maybe even another studio has bought the rights to it and Crawl 2 comes out, we won't have to have some lame 100% unrelated setup. We could actually just go, yeah, these same characters, even if they're played by different people, are continuing that whole scenario, or a very closely related one. Because it's like
there's no okay, so there's no need for I don't want to ruin this movie.
There was no need for Tremors 2.
We don't know enough about those creatures. We know a ton about alligators. So the fact that this was conditional, this film happened because of a hurricane at a specific time, at a specific place, with specific people.
You're telling me that hurricanes don't happen every year?
They do, but they don't happen in Florida every year. And they don't happen in the same place in Florida every year. And they don't happen where there's an abundance of alligators every year. And I think that the way for a sequel to happen with this would be so far-fetched, it would just make it impossible to give a shit about. That's just
but that's one of the great things about horror movie-based sequels. They don't have to work within the same universe of how likely is this to happen. It's a horror film. The worst things are happening the whole time.
I know, and that's something that I wish that I could help you with horror films, or at least films in general, is that and I think we talked about this a little bit, we walk into films all the time with this preconceived notion that characters, welcome back, Angel, that characters in films should know what we know, and they don't.
Yeah.
Because they're not thinking about the situation the way we would. If you put yourself into real life in that situation, you too would probably run up the stairs.
Oh, I will admit, when I get scared, my immediate choice is flight. I don't have the fight instinct. It is run the hell away from whatever is happening.
Right.
And if I see staircases, I don't care. Like, if that's what my brain sees, that's where I'm going to run. I know that I can't say, oh, this is exactly what you should have done, because I'm getting an overhead or a third person view on the whole situation,
Right.
where I get to step back calmly and go, oh, this is what I would have done. It's just like watching like a cooking competition show. It is so easy to go, oh, I don't know why they didn't use that ingredient instead of this one, because at the time your brain is just trying to focus on what you could actually get the thing to actually do, or what you can get out of. It is not something that you actually have the time to sit back and reflect on and go, oh yeah, this would have been the best thing to do. Yes. I cannot lie about that. I would be the person who you guys find, even hours after my death, and you're like, oh, actually, yeah, that kind of checks out. Like,
oh, poor Monkish Wick. Dying all the time.
That's fine.
He's going to die all the time, die all the time, die all the time.
I love that both of my sisters are fully agreeing with this.
Not only that, but they're in the chat and they're they're not just trolling you, they're hating on you a little. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Yep.
It's pretty funny to watch. I like it. I love it. So yeah, if you want to see Monkish Wick get bagged on by his sisters about all the movies he hates and loves, then come back for more here at Bits and Wick. We've got plenty of sibling rivalry going on, which I love. It's fantastic.
I mean, if you want to see more sibling rivalry, I don't think my sister Kristen has ever sat through a film without talking. So
he called her out. He called her out. Anyway, Angel, what did you think of the movie Crawl? Did you end up watching it? Oh, my cheeks hurt from the smiles. Love it. Shots fired. Never seen it. If you like alligators, it's worth a watch. That's about my whole review right there.
If you like to watch a blonde woman swim through a basement, yeah, go for it.
No, if you want to see something that's like really ridiculously outlandish and yet believable at the exact same time, that's Crawl. Nothing about it's real, and yet everything about it's believable. It's so bizarre.
And yet I still love it.
Oh yeah, if you don't watch it, you can't find Toon Meth Gator, because these alligators are they're kind of your go-to, like the predecessors, if you will, of Meth Gator. So
these might be bath salt gators, but yeah.
Bath salt gators. Yeah, I don't know. So there are some cheesy ass moments in this movie where I'm like, why did they do that? Why?
Yeah.
The water was one of them, but like the whole like introducing a bunch of characters for no reason. That's something that Alt was talking about before they went to bed. All those cops that were introduced, no character development. The bad guys, the robbers, like no development there. They were like bad guys, but like not. I don't know if Meth Gator doesn't have a couple of like really surreal moments, like like a like a Steven Soderbergh moment, or maybe a what's his name? Friggin' weirdo. Does all the really weird flicks. Mulholland Drive, Twin Peaks. I should know this. I'm better than this.
I should know it too, but my brain is not latching onto the name.
3 hours into a stream, your brain starts to go a little mushy. It's easy to happen, but not David Fincher. Not David. It's David something maybe. Another name for bath salts is crocodile.
Yep.
Is that really true?
Yes, that is very true.
I did not know that. Learn something new every day. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Thanks, love, for that. Appreciate it. So why don't we move into rating this film, and then we're going to talk about the movies we're watching next week.
For rating this film, I love this film. I really do. It is so like horribly fun for me to watch. I don't think I can go above a 5 on this film though.
So like, how many times have you seen it?
I've seen this film probably 30 times.
Would you watch it again?
And yeah, I would.
Doesn't that put it closer to a 10?
Nope, not for me.
I don't understand your scale.
Enjoy this film.
You got to help me understand your scale.
My own weight doesn't understand my scale. It's lying to me constantly.
No, I'm just saying, like, how does something get a 9 from you?
I will let you know when it happens.
So you're saying you've never rated something a 9? Then why do you even have 9 or 10 on your scale?
Because those are like the higher end of the scale. That's the whole point of the scale.
But if the scale doesn't ever reach, so if a student can never get 100% on a test, why would you have 100% for the test?
Because they need to try harder.
That's not how it works. So on the scale of hurricanes or the Richter scale, for example, we have a certain amount of numbers that we have because that's what's available. That's what will work. So we have category 5 hurricanes because that's that's the biggest. And so we can rate them there because they'll go there. But if you never ever rate something a 10, literally no movie has ever been a 10, then your 9s are 10s.
Well, no.
Yeah.
No.
By default. That's how math works.
10s are 10s. No, 10s are 10s. 9s are just the ones that, have gotten as close as possible to 10s. And they're still not 10s.
So, have you rated something a 9?
No.
So, your 8s are 10s then?
No, my 8s are 8s.
That doesn't make sense to me, anyway.
It doesn't have to make sense to you. It's all about me.
But I want to understand, that's all. Anyway, so Crawl, you give a 5 out of 10?
5 out of 10.
And would you say that's an overall rating? So that's direction, cinematography, music?
Yeah, that's everything coming together to hold it.
I'm going to give it a 7, which for an animal attack horror film is actually pretty high for me. Usually I think they're pretty lame. Most of the time they're not scary. This one actually made me go, I would not want to be involved in that situation. There are a few of those really tense moments. So yeah, I would say definitely give it a try if you like a chai. Give it a try if you enjoy animal attack flicks. If you want something just fun that you don't have to think too much about, it's worth it. Yes, exactly.
I will rate it a 9 if it's good.
No, I was looking at Bats McSkellies. Your scale is chaos. Yeah.
I mean, my life is kind of chaos, so that just checks out anyway.
Sure. Let's see. So next week, I don't know if I brought the posters up. Oh, that's sad business right there. Can I just add them right now? I'm going to go to the poster wall, and then I'm going to see if I can just add this in for next week. Let's see. New source. Just say next week.
That's the gist of it.
Poster. So you're trying to save those for being special? Isn't that like saving gear in a video game that you will never use, and at the end you just leave it to not have any, like, does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Things making sense because you are cutting out so badly. I cannot understand a word you're saying.
Hold on. I'm trying to size these down for next week's movies. I'm doing it while we're live, which is really funky, but I'm doing it. Here we go. Here's next week's films, y'all. And we'll be reviewing the 4 films in the current Godzilla franchise, including Godzilla 2014, King Kong, or Kong Skull Island, if you will, Godzilla King of the Monsters, the modern one, not the original, and then Godzilla vs. Kong. So we're going to watch through all 4 of these. If you guys want to watch through them as well, they're all available on HBO Max. So if you have HBO Max, you can totally check them out and watch along so that next week we can review them together. And you guys, you got some input on Skull Island. Nice. We'll definitely be talking about that. And this is kind of the culmination. This is what we've been working on for the whole month towards this, which has been a blast. And it's going to be fun. Next month, like I said, we're going to do video game movies. And again, that's movies based on video games, not movies about video games. Just to be clear. Maybe we'll do a whole segment in like the middle of summer where we'll add in a bunch of movie, like rando movies, and we'll add the video game movies in there.
If we do movies that are about video games, then we have to do The Wizard.
So yeah, exactly. So we could do The Wizard. We could do Ready Player One. We could do Stay Alive. We could do, and I'm sure there are a couple more, but those are big ones. Oh, Jumanji.
I mean, the first one is not about a video game.
No, I was talking about the 2 new ones.
Okay.
Which are. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Besides, I don't want to review the first Jumanji. I'm just going to talk about how shitty the CG looks.
Well, yeah.
It didn't look that good when it came out. No matter what anybody says, it didn't look that good. Anyway, these are going to be the movies we review next week. So make sure you get a chance to check them out. And of course, we all know Godzilla vs. Kong is coming out on Wednesday. So give that a watch if you're able to. Otherwise, anything Williams is a 10 in your book? Williams? Which Williams?
John Williams?
John Williams, yeah. I shut my mouth about what? What did I say? Robin Williams.
Okay.
Did I talk crap about Robin Williams?
No, you didn't. He's going. Angel's going with the anything Williams. He's saying Robin Williams.
Right, but I have to shut my mouth about something else. Bats. What did I say? I was talking about. I'm so confused.
Sleeping on the couch tonight.
Oh, talking crap about Jumanji. Oh, I see. Yeah. No, it's a fun movie. Bad CG. It's not its fault. It's old enough. I think there should be a whole renaissance period over the next 10 years where they go back and CG up all those old movies and make them look better. Because I think that would revitalize them and make them fun. They did it with some old Star Trek episodes. I think it'd be a blast. That's just me. Can you imagine Jumanji, but with Robin Williams, but with modern CG in it? Oh, it would look so good.
It might look good.
The Birdcage. Okay, so I love The Birdcage, and we can review it really quick. It's a great story, one that needed to be told at the time, still stands true, and it's a great movie about how to be yourself and how you should be.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that one.
Again, when we agree, it can get pretty boring. So,
and it's also got a great cameo by the Arthur at the end, so that's good.
I love Hank Azaria in it. I love Gene Hackman, who plays a character you don't really expect from him. So yeah, solid flick, solid flick. We love it.
A little bit of trivia: Robin Williams was actually supposed to play the cabaret drag queen performer of the gay couple. And once the person who was playing his character he ended up getting left the production, he asked the director if he could just switch over because he was so sure that people were so used to him being so openly flamboyant that it would actually be kind of a shock to the audience for him to not be that way.
To where he was the more straight sounding character.
Yeah. Yep.
While they let Nathan Lane go nuts with it, which he did a fantastic job. But we are, actually, Robin Williams, we know can do that. He's done it. I mean, he is part of his stage act. So, which I hope you've seen all of those.
As far as I'm aware, I have anyway.
Everybody should. No hate on Jumanji, love, by the way. So, 4 movies next week. It's the big crescendo for our monsters. I hope you guys will tune in. It'll be a blast. Otherwise, we're going to raid somebody because I like to try to raid as many people as I can because I'm like that. I'm a team player. I'm a fan of it. So I think we're going to raid the Goose because the Goose just showed up in our community and a family member, and I'm happy about it. And let's go see what a secret 5th movie. What movie, Angel, are we doing that's a 5th movie? I'm really confused. You gotta tell me. Oh, the Birdcage. Let's see.
But yeah, we'll throw in our Peter Jackson's King Kong review on that one too.
Yeah, we can make that quick, right?
Well, yeah, it's not hard to say it was shit.
Yeah, everybody doesn't like that I hate that movie. It feels like everybody thinks that I should just love it, but I can't. It's not good. And that's why we chose not to review it, because we're just going to sit there and trash talk it, and that's not fun.
Yep. Then it turns into Godzilla 98, and it's just
yeah, and we don't want to do that to anybody. That's just dull. Okay, so hold on. I'm trying to raid the Goose here. He's playing this really cool, like, weird paranormal game, and I'm not sure about the people he's playing with because I don't know them, but I do know that he's cool and likes movies and loves playing weird video games right now. Like I said, he's playing, I don't even know the name of it, but it's this weird paranormal game. Oh, that's why it didn't work. I put the @ on there and I didn't need to do that. Here we go. Raiden.
But anyway, thank you everyone for viewing with us tonight. It was a fantastic episode. I had a lot of fun.
I did too. And I'm going to put up our ending sign now. There it is. There's the Bits and WIKK ending. Aha. Okay, everybody. Angel, thank you for coming by. Sis, my love. All the folks in the stream. I know Jessie isn't here anymore, but she's awesome. She's been moderating, and so everything's awesome. You guys are all awesome. Pending to be announced. And here we go. Rating.